Good evening, everybody. Welcome to America's Third Party and our Conspiracy Monday show. I'm David Sponheim, running for president in 2016. Write my name in. Don't waste your vote on the two parties. They have literally failed for the past 16 years. They failed to address the issue of jobs in America. Going overseas, they've never really created any real traction in our economy with U.S. businesses growing. They continue to overspend at every single level of the budget. You're seeing states like California, New York, even my home state of Washington is $90 billion in debt because of the mistakes the Democrats and Republicans are making. They can't seem to cut the budget because their reelection depends on giving away your tax dollars to cronies. Whether they're contractors working on a ferry, or in the case of my area, the guy gave the contractors of a failed ferry system another $42 million, just wrote a check. And then they wonder why they're running out of money. They dig up roads that are perfectly fine just to put a new one in. I mean, this is the kind of mentality of the bureaucracy, the enlarged bureaucracy of the two-party system. And that's what we have today. You know, it all started a long time ago with the New Deal and FDR. And they never learned how to downsize the excess spending and all the crony projects that they keep doling out. And that's why we need a new third party, big time. And the best way to do that is to force a recount and write my name in this upcoming election. If we get enough people to write me in my name, I can challenge the state and force them to do a recount. And those of you who question the Diebold voting system, and many of you have been watching Alex Jones, and he questions the Diebold voting system, as he should. I mean, everyone must realize that these Diebold voting systems are hackable. The write-in candidacy is the alternative. It's the only way we're going to force them to actually count the ballots. What a concept, huh? So this is something that definitely could go viral across the nation, but unfortunately, I have been completely suppressed by the mainstream media. I've had film crews at my house twice from ABC, and they've videotaped me, and they said they were going to run a story, and they never did. Isn't that interesting? Never ran a story. Never a story that was related to the issues, I should say, because there was a time when I was brought into the Seattle news because of some horrible swatting that occurred at my home, which should never have happened. But that's not representation at all. What are we looking at here? Looking at a picture of some sort of I'm not really sure what that was. Yeah. Can't explain what that was. Here it is. Is it some sort of an explosion? All right. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, I don't know what that was, but I can tell you that we are looking at Syria pulling out of... Russia is pulling out of Syria. Putin announces Russia will pull most of his military from Syria. He believes the job is done, that they've secured all the areas that were under question prior to their activity there. President Vladimir Putin announced Monday that Russia would begin withdrawing their main part of its military from Syria. A surprise potential end to a 6-month intervention that bolstered Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and dealt a grave blow to the rebel forces. So Barack Obama's failed attempt at starting a war, continued war in Afghanistan, which he will not pull out of, which is shocking to a lot of you Democrats, I know. Many of you don't realize that Afghanistan is actually putting out more opium than ever before, and our own military is involved in harvesting that opium. And Democrats won't even talk about it. The media won't even talk about it. So Barack Obama has proven to be a puppet for the New World Order and the CIA, and they is simply implementing a plan of continued wars, and it failed. He met his Waterloo with Syria and Russia. Interesting. We'll see if Syria and Russia heats up again, but it looks to me like containment is underway and Russia is not concerned, and they're pulling their troops out. All right, so that's in the news. We had some pretty serious allegations earlier. A video of a man peeing on a Kellogg's cereal assembly line has emerged. Problem is I can't play it. But here's the link if you guys didn't see it earlier. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I mean, there's going to be an employee that's going to taint a supply or a batch of Kellogg's cereal. They must have pulled the batch, or did they? You got to wonder. That was that image, and we're to pull that up. This is an interesting image that came out. I don't think it's real, though. It's been dressed up to look like Bernie's scaring the Donald in the middle of his speech. Very funny. And then the reason why the Syrians have pulled out, essentially, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, Syrian forces recaptured 400 populated areas over nearly 4,000 square miles of territory during the Russian air campaign. So 400 populated areas have been taken over by Putin. And he reportedly has frozen the transfer of the S-300 anti-aircraft system to Iran after receiving evidence from Israel that Tehran had transferred advanced weapons to Hezbollah. So Putin's changing his tune with Iran, and that's a good note to remember. Thank you for that interesting link there, or information, factoid. I don't lie. I've never lied in my life. I've been living a clean, insightful life all my life, and I'm absolutely clear that if I don't do this, nobody else will. And I've known this for some time. Let me ask you, if you have a really high amount of intelligence and you feel frustrated by your lack of financial capability to launch an election for president because you don't have the money that Trump has that he's gotten all these years from borrowed money from the Federal Reserve. What are we looking at here? Okay, that was the picture. All right. Would you not run a campaign to save the nation? I mean, think about it. That's what I've been doing. I've been running a campaign for my home studio for the past 7 years to save the nation. I can't think of a better use of my time than to start a third party. Vladimir Putin announced Russia will begin pulling most of its military from Syria. What are we doing here? U.S. South Korea conducts a joint amphibious landing. Okay. These are the kind of activities that I will not engage in when I'm president. I will not in any way endorse South Korean and joint U.S. military ground operations because it only creates more fear and heightens the level of paranoia from North Korea. I would tell Kim Jong-un in a phone call that we're not going to invade, and these activities are not going to be utilized. South Korea can run their own war games. We don't need to fund them. We're wasting a tremendous amount of money on a failed attempt to scare a country that's never going to scare. Very interesting, though, to see these things happen right now. Obama, with a failed policy around the world, pissing off leaders around the world, creating more tension. That's not what you guys hoped for when you voted for a mandate for Barack Obama, was it? You never wanted that. Okay, Bernie Sanders is promising to take trucks off the road if elected. No kidding, really? Wow, what is this raging socialist going to do next? He wants to borrow $15 trillion to finance mindless government jobs which don't produce products. Now he's promising to take trucks off the road. Wow. Talk about the reckless abuse of a Marxist.
We can do incredible things with energy efficiency, making our buildings more energy efficient. We can create a state-of-the-art rail system which takes trucks off the road.
Okay, so he's going to take trucks off the road. The backbone of our infrastructure and our trucking industry, I support. I actually have a plan to bring on hempoline into our diesel fuel and offer truckers an alternative at lower cost of hempoline. It would be a green diesel. And that's something that in no way do I shirk the importance of our trucking industry. I mean, this guy doesn't even understand the economy. He doesn't understand how to build jobs. He wants to get rid of trucks. See what I'm talking about? Communism. It's terrible. And they keep pushing these ideologues forward and giving them money because that's their plan to take down our country. The Illuminati is using Marxism to take down our country. They're using puppets like Sanders and Hillary and Donald Trump, who sounds more like a fascist. People don't actually listen to the words. What do? I don't think anybody's going to kill anybody. Yeah. Well, you'd like to see windmills on top of telephone poles? I can bring that on, yeah. Go, Craiglister. So you're going to get plenty of cleaning jobs at Craigslist. Craigslist offers a tremendous amount of deals. Today I saw an amazing deal on the internet, and I actually emailed the guy saying, hey, is this real? And we'll see if that's going to come out. I saw a $20,000 vehicle for $2,000, so I emailed him saying, hey, is this really $2,000? Or are you just saying that to get people to email you? I mean, anybody could say a $20,000 vehicle is $2,000 just to get people to email them. But what's the point? I don't have a chin implant. I have no facial reconstructive surgery done on me whatsoever. I'm not in any way like United American. I'm a centrist, former Democrat of 30 years. Left the Democratic Party in 2007 because they wouldn't listen to my great ideas, and they told me to shut up when I told them that I didn't support the war in Iraq. Oh, really? Okay, I don't know anything about Craigslist being misused by people. I heard about the Craigslist murderer. Yeah, that was pretty sad. David gets on cam. He's not like Warlord. No. In fact, I'm a person who's level-headed, and it would never threaten anybody. You know, the whole thing about threatening people is it puts you in a very compromising position. I mean, what happened to that guy when he threatened somebody on camera? Yeah, he got arrested. All right. Well, this is Conspiracy Monday tonight. I will be talking about these great ideas that we have, you know, for America on a daily basis. So we don't necessarily have to look at these all the time on the screen. But these are the things that make us different in the two parties. Legalization of marijuana on a recreational level is huge. And bringing our troops home, ending the Federal Reserve is huge. There's absolutely every reason in the world to think that this idea will help save our country a lot of money and make us better in the eyes of other countries. I mean, let's face it, we've got a bad rap around the world. People think that America is this warring nation, that all we care about is war. Well, in a way, they're right, because we have been spending a lot of effort creating wars around the world. That's just a fact. We need green, clean technologies to help save the nation and export new technologies around the world to help our economy. That's how to build an economy. You can't just start a war to expect to build an economy. But the Democrats, they've always thought that you can just throw money at things. The same with the Republicans. And they haven't done anything to really gain traction in our nation. No new ideas. You see, folks, I've been kept out of the dialogue for 7 years. I've been censored by the media for 7 years. And that's really kind of kept the dialogue from evolving, because people like me question everything. Hello. Don't really know who that is. Yeah, they keep censoring. And the fact that people are censoring people like me, average people who are simply using the internet, even on a website that we broadcast on nightly, we have problems with the video signal. Sometimes if you get a crappy signal, it's because they won't deliver a good, clean signal to my show for some reason. So if you do run into that ever coming into our show, be sure to go to AmericasThirdParty.com directly. And you'll see the Vaughn chat room and another chat room there with a better video signal. All right. So many of you don't understand how to talk to people. You probably don't have a good personal relationship with yourself, let alone others. And you engage in trolling activity. Well, I'm here to kind of help you with that. Consider this a 12-step plan to dealing with your troll addiction. A lot of people who come into our room trolling have ended up becoming supporters of America's Third Party. So what we're trying to prevent is this devastating disaster from happening. We don't want this to happen, and we see this happening right now around the country. It's slowly, the infrastructure is breaking down. Holes all over my city area. Roads are just falling apart in my area, and we've got one of the nicer areas. The state roads look good, but the city roads are collapsing. And all they're doing is wasting money left and right. In my area, they're putting in a $130 million sewage drying facility. There's no science behind the sewage drying. There's no ideas in any way that makes it safer when you expose a population of 50,000 people to E. coli drying in the air. But they went ahead and we're going for a $130 million drying of sewage plant with a viewing area too. An extra $20 million viewing area so that people can come by and look at the crap dry. I'm not kidding. That's how stupid they are at the local level where I live. Yep, definitely. Changing the tax structure would be first on my list to talk to Congress. We'll approach Congress by pushing for a flat tax of 10% on income above $100,000. Thanks for the warning. Yeah, the idea is to not tax people who make less than $100,000. Okay, Leroy, that's it for you. You better bring in the big guys because they're going to have to come in and attack me that way. Leroy got banned. He didn't understand. This isn't a troll palace. We have to talk about real subjects here. Yeah. Cat's tail, you really like that quote from Thomas Jefferson. He saw it last night or 2 nights ago. He said, I like that. It says, nothing more unfair than treating unequal people equally. Wow. Yeah, that's not a real call. Okay, so yeah, sewage is a crappy business, but you know, in some areas, like down in Arcata, California, they have a living sewage solution integrated with a local ocean. And they've got marshes that the sewage goes into, which breaks down the solid masses and turns it into completely safe, biodegradable material. They don't have anything like that here. When we wrote them in a letter suggesting they do a living facility, because we're right in a bay, we have a seawater bay right where we are, they didn't even respond. They don't even care. They didn't even care. They just want to spend $130 million to watch crap dry. Okay, FDA to declassify electroshock therapy to same risk as condoms and contact lenses. So here's the FDA, an organization that needs to be completely abolished because they're not protecting anyone. In fact, they're protecting big industry and big pharma. Now they're going to make it so that you can get electroshock therapy and have no potential ramifications, legal ramifications. It'll be the same risk as a condom or contact lenses. Have you seen people that have had electroshock therapy before? Have you? I've met people who've had electroshock therapy. Yeah. I met one person who's had 17 cases of electroshock therapy. You know what they look like when they're done with 17 cases of electroshock therapy? You want me to show you what they look like? They have flat affect. They're frozen. They're like, they don't move. They don't say anything. They're very stiff. I mean, you literally freeze. They're not curing any mental illness. They're just creating frozen zombies. Their whole life they're frozen right after the electroshock therapy. So draconian methods are being fast-tracked by the FDA. The Food and Drug Administration is set to allow for the dramatic expansion of electroshock therapy for patients who have been diagnosed with clinical depression through reclassification of the devices used to deliver shock treatment, despite the fact that experts and former patients have attested the damage such treatment causes. As noted by mental health watchdog organization Citizens Commission on Human Rights International, the FDA began the reclassification process of electroconvulsive therapy devices in early January. The change would lower the devices from their current high-risk Category 3 classification to allow electroshock machines to be utilized in the treatment of specific mental illnesses with less regulatory controls. So in other words, you could have a home-use electroshock therapy kit for your family. Yeah, they'll be able to sell them online. I mean, the FDA is absolutely complicit in the suppression of cures for cancer, the promotion of forced vaccinations on the population. I had to talk quickly just to read it. I don't like to talk quickly. I would rather talk slowly. Okay, this came in earlier in the show, in the pre-show. I think it's only fair to bring it in to our regular show and talk to you about it. We've been talking about violence, police brutality over the many years. I've talked about how I'm going to order the police to have sensitivity training in every single city in the country receiving federal dollars. But this is a real interesting picture of how brutal cops can be and not even know it. Watch what they did to this woman. She was in an argument with her a person, and then this cop walks up. Take a look.
It's easy. Take a taxi home and that's it. Don't get the cops involved.
I'm videotaping.
Somebody help me out.
You're good, man. I'm videotaping this.
Somebody help me out.
Good? Hey, am I good?
Stop.
Hey, bro. Am I good? You're good.
You're fucked up.
Yeah, you're good. I'm just videotaping this because it's funny.
Is anybody balls enough to stop? Hey, you need a taxi home. That's it.
Get out of my way.
Give me my keys!
You need a taxi home. That's it.
I want it.
It's simple. Stop.
I want you to
Stop. Knock it off.
Uncalled for, sir. Uncalled for.
She's out.
Right there, you could have helped.
She's out.
Out, dude.
She's out, dude. Look at this. They're picking her up. She's got a head injury. Then she wakes up because she's being forced to walk.
This isn't for me, man.
Yeah, you know, anybody who's head slammed against pavement can really hurt their head. This is a classic case of police brutality, yeah. I don't care if she was drunk. The fact is the guy body slammed her to the ground. Thank you. Unreal. Yeah, she didn't deserve that, I know. Okay, let's talk about the water. The water is polluted. 50% of our water in our cities is toxic. That's what a report that reached the New York Times 5 years ago said. Yeah. So we've got toxic water all across the country. What am I to do about it? Well, I'm thinking the government should get involved in producing filtration systems. And I don't mean expensive Berkey water filter systems. I mean cheap systems just like the Berkey water system. Yeah. So why can't the government get involved in producing something that we could all buy for, like, replacement filters could be $3 versus $15? Or even Brita filters. Little Brita filters are $7 now. We need to get involved in mass producing more filters for everybody to drink water. And I definitely want to remove fluoride from our water system. Fluoride is a known neurotoxin and is causing irreparable damage to your brain if you're drinking tap water. Many of you don't realize that fluoride is a known neurotoxin, more toxic than lead and slightly less toxic than arsenic. Yeah, the VIP system on that network has really taken off. Not. I mean, what a waste. You know, when greed persists, people balk. They get away. What's going on with Donald Trump's face? Many people don't realize that this could be a sign of some sort of a, facial system. We're not really sure. Let's take a look. It's the mark of the devil. Okay. A closer scrutiny of his chin reveals the image of... That's pretty funny. Okay. Yeah, that was just too funny. I can't corroborate that. I have not analyzed his chin. I don't want to falsely paint Donald Trump out to be any more evil than he already paints himself out to be. I mean, we don't need a person who's an old man trying to control the world with his money. We've had plenty of those people. We don't need more. Old men wanting to make wars and young men fighting them. Donald Trump talks about starting ground wars like it was nothing. Like he's actually gone to war himself. And I don't really feel any jealousy toward Trump because, I personally am not 60, 70 pounds overweight. I don't have massive amounts of debt and bankruptcies in my record, corporate bankruptcies. So, Rodney never really presented on our show anymore. He stopped his he stopped calling after I finally said, don't call. So, I don't want a job. I retired, 5 years ago. I have plenty of money to live the rest of my life comfortably because I saved it like a very frugal Norwegian that I am. Well, 4 corporate bankruptcies is too many. 1 is too many. 4, that's too many. Yeah. And then closing down companies in debt. Oh, man. That's the last kind of guy we need to run our country right now. We're already massively in debt. Why would we go to a debt junkie for solutions? Now, Hillary, she's not in debt. She's just one really poor woman. Yeah, in fact, she can't even afford her facials when she does screen appearances now. So he's taken on a different look entirely. Can you afford a facial, any of you? And I know what you're thinking. Don't go there. The U.S. has been bankrupt since 1933. Can you tell me something we don't know? 628. Why having the U.S. bankrupt is it upsetting you? I mean, we've been bankrupt for a long time. I mean, why are you so freaked out by it? You're like Ron Paul, who says the money is worthless. Well, try going to Best Buy and giving them $500 and seeing how worthless it is. You'll walk out with a 60-inch or 55-inch LED TV. I don't have a face like that. Well, the U.S. being bankrupt is always a point of reference when talking about conspiracies. Let's bring up the fact that in March 9th of 1933, FDR declared our nation to be bankrupt. And then opened the door to let the Federal Reserve borrow money left and right from an endless process called the fractional reserve banking system, where they put $1 down and borrow 9. And they continue to do that to this day to finance our country's operational expenses. The net result is the money in your pocket becomes worth less, not worthless. Worth less and less, but it doesn't mean it's worthless. Big difference between worthless and worth less. But that's essentially the game plan. It's a hidden tax. When you go to the market and spend $4.50 for a gallon of milk when you should be paying $2, based on supply and demand, real numbers, there's no reason in the world why that isn't a tax. It's a hidden tax on your income. So the more you spend on products like beef steak, I mean, a New York steak is going to cost you, $12.99 for a T-bone now? And a porterhouse is like, $14 for a 1 porterhouse? I remember when they were $1.50 at the market when I was a kid. Every one of my family got a T-bone every night. It was unbelievable. $18 for a T-bone, really? Yeah, what about this Trump steak company that went under? How about that? You can't even sell steak properly. Are they still selling the Trump steak? You wear your seatbelt because Ralph Nader in particular wrote a book called Unsafe at Any Speed in 1966, in which he talked about the dangers of not having seatbelts in cars around the country. My mother was a victim of not wearing a seatbelt in 1965, right before seatbelts became mandatory. My mother went through the windshield. And it'll all be very clear how dangerous seatbelts are. If you look at the statistics of people that get car accidents, I think of 2 years ago, there was a car accident in South Carolina. A family was going to go on the road down to Disney World. They'd saved for a long time. The son just got his driver's permit. His friend was sitting next to him. The mom and dad and 2 other kids decided to go in the back of the Suburban that they were driving and take a nap. And they're on their way to Disney World, and lo and behold, their son, who'd never been driving more than a learner's permit, falls asleep at the wheel. Are you with me? T-bones or tumbles the Suburban, killing the 4 passengers in the back that weren't even belted. You probably heard about the story. So the driver, the son, he lived, and his friend lived because they had seatbelts and the airbags in the front, but all 4 in back died. Can you imagine coming home to that reality that you fell asleep at the wheel and your mom and dad and brother and sister are dead? that you and your buddy lived. I mean, can you imagine what he's living through right now? Well, that was a lot of mistakes made. Bad judgment for one, to put a 16-year-old at the wheel of a car with no experience driving. Falling asleep at the wheel was a horrible decision by him. But for the parents not to be belted, I mean, that really probably cost them their lives. All right, percentage of millionaires. Congress, there's over 50%. I've heard it's as high as 60% are millionaires, but that's fine. 50% of Congress are millionaires. Only 1% of Americans are millionaires. That's a very powerful statistic right there. Congress literally buys their role. That's why the two-party system has become so corrupt over the years. They are literally buying their role in this world. And these people stay wealthy because they use their money to make money. And they think that being a congressman is the pathway to more money. And that's how greed infests our nation's politics. Now, forcing a recount, writing my name in during this election, is the only way we're going to get any essence of redress to this terrible problem. I mean, the American people we've had enough. We have had enough. We're getting the shaft, everybody. Yep. Yes, and we support term limits and finance election reform. Absolutely. Once this party takes off somehow, some way, we'll get this eventually. But we actually have to dominate. We can't just be people in the far fringes of the political spectrum. We have to dominate. But yes, we will completely push for term limits. 2 terms for senators, 4 terms for congressmen and women. I'm a Catholic by birth, so technically that is Christian, based on the Catholic faith, although Christians tend to believe that Catholics are not Christian. But I can tell you that I renounced my faith in Catholicism when I was 11 years old, after I had completed the entire protocol required of me. The catechism period was 6 weeks of intense training. And I decided that I did not in any way support ritualistic religion. I still believe in God and I have a personal relationship with the Lord, but I'm not into ritualistic religion. You can participate in whatever you want, even if you're an atheist. You can go around proselytizing your atheism. Many of those religious people are pushing their beliefs all across the internet. Like that guy who gets all this money from AdSense dollars, the amazing atheist. Oh man, he's raking in the dough. He loves that money. You know, money seems to be your religion. The atheists seem to like money a lot. I've noticed that. Okay, what do we have here? Guns and ammo. 8th annual Obama's going to take all your guns sale. Oh yeah. You know, the net result of gun control and the Democratic position on it has been a real diversion in our country. It really has. It's every single time the Democrats push for gun control, you see gun sales go through the roof. They skyrocket. Okay, so you're not going to renew? Honest Frank bought davidjsponheim.com and you're not going to renew it? Okay, good. Thanks. All right, thanks for telling me, Honest Frank. I'll try to pick that domain up. I already own davidsponheim.com. David, they both expired. Okay, good. Good to know. Thank you for that, Honest John. I want them. Yeah, I'll get them. Thanks a lot. Okay. Thanks for telling me. Okay, but I really am content with davidsponheim.com. It's hard to keep getting new domain names because you got to pay $10 a month or a year for these things. Okay, it'll take a few days or so. Okay, well, thanks for the heads up. I'll keep an eye out. Hey, that's not funny, guys. I'm not gay. Never have been. It's very derogatory when you say these things. I'd like to get them out, Diamond Dave. People saying negative things about me on a nightly basis is what I've been dealing with for the past 7 years. So it's not in any way new, but at the same time, it does get old. Not defensive. I'm just quite shocked that you think I'm gay, because I'm not. It's obvious that your gaydar is completely screwed up. Many of you who have not known that Barack Obama is a gay homosexual man all these years have been confused. You were the ones that voted for Obama. And you're not really, your gaydar needs to be tuned up or something. I mean, Obama is from Kenya. Even his literary agent was saying that for years. Obama's literary agent was used born in Kenya in his bio until 2007. Yeah, I've always known that Barack Obama was from Kenya. When I first heard about him running in 2000, I actually heard about him running for the state Senate race in Illinois, and he said, oh yes, this person from Kenya. Even his wife talked about, his transgender husband, Michael, talked about him being from Kenya in many speeches. They were all around, and then the story came out that you can't be running for president if you're not a natural born citizen, and all of a sudden he instantly became from Honolulu. Yeah, so Michelle was out there talking about this. They met way back. The Down Low Club was an opportunity for Barack Obama to have homosexual relations with people like Nate Spencer and Larry Bland and Donald Young. And these are the men that were actually, very involved in his life. And so much so that they all died in 2007. And there's a very good, thank you, take care, Honest Frank, good luck. There is a real good reason why they suppressed all of the questions, the 18 different cases that came up about Barack Obama's birth certificate, because he was essentially a CIA plant. And this is a very strong conspiracy theory. Listen to Michelle talk about
surrounding HIV testing, which is still plaguing so many of our communities, which you all know, a lot of that is due to homophobia. Barack has led by example. When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya, we took a public HIV test we took a public and visited his home country in Kenya.
Okay, so her admission was one of many admissions at many speaking events that Barack Obama said he was from Kenya, and then all of a sudden his people said, oh, no, you can't do that, and the literary agent changed it and said, no. They didn't even know the law. They didn't even know the law. They were running for office. That's how greedy these people are. They literally don't even know the law until the very end, and then they buy control over the stories. Now, the Solicitor General during those years when people were questioning Barack Obama's birth certificate, I was 4 years ahead of Donald Trump on the birther issue. He's followed me on every single issue and borrowed my ideas. But 4 years prior, I was saying this is ridiculous. Barack Obama is definitely... We're not forgetting Obama yet. There's a scenario that we're going to talk about in a few minutes where martial law is declared and there is no election in 2016. We'll talk about that in a second. But the fact is, Elena Kagan was a Solicitor General for all those years, and she rejected every single question. Every single case that was presented before the Supreme Court, she rejected. It was never taken to the Supreme Court about the forged birth certificate that Barack Obama presented. Elena Kagan, by the way, got judgeship, Supreme Court judgeship, on the heels of all of her decisions, and she never served as a judge any time in her life before. So she went from being Solicitor General, never being a judge, to being a judge, Supreme Court judge. I call that payback. Okay, we're going to turn guest chat off by request until you feel better. All right. Stop with the gay stuff, guests, and you'll be fine. You're welcome to be gay, but we don't need you accusing people who are not gay of being gay. Have you covered the thuggery at the First Amendment speeches yet? And don't tell me they were protests. We were nothing but agitators. Dr. No, the things that happened during the recent Chicago uprising at the Trump event, where Trump couldn't appear, it looks to me like it was a planned event. But that's not to say that Trump hasn't inspired a tremendous amount of anger and divisiveness among the American people, many of whom are Muslim. Even the sheikh, one of the sheikhs in the United Arab Emirates, has said categorically that they will not trade oil with the American people and the American government. if Donald Trump becomes president. That's a serious allegation from Muslims around the world. Yep. The censorship going on our issue right now is going on every day. We get pushed down to the back end. Vaughn is using a technique. We bring in people. You'll notice that you have a problem with your video signal when we bring in people. And many people want to get in our room, and he's just using that as an opportunity to sell VIP positions, and then he sticks us at the back end this way. So this is a pretty serious allegation that just doesn't seem to go away. It just gets worse and worse. Yeah, I'm alleging that I'm being censored, yeah. It's pretty obvious. So in lieu of that, we have to go to emergency cowbell sound effects. All right. We won't talk about the Obama homosexual Muslim connection anymore tonight until later. So you don't have to worry about that. We have an authentic cow to do the cowbell. There you go. You feel good about that? Okay, good. Thank you. Let's take a breath, take a breather. Yes, MoveOn.org plan the protests. We all know who funds them. They even gave Kasich a donation of $226,000. Stupid mofo is telling us about that. Thank you for that, stupid mofo. Yeah, I don't think that would be appropriate. that's not. It's funny, but not that funny. More of a macabre funny. I think your humor is slightly different than mine. Okay. No, the birther issue hasn't even really begun. When I take the reins as president, I will prosecute Barack Obama for fraud. I will. Donald Trump won't make those comments. Yeah, I've never heard him said that. Yeah. Do you really think that you can take and bankrupt our country for 8 years under 2 terms of a lame duck moron president and not have to pay the price? I mean, you Democrats, don't you think many of you are going to get away with a fraud charge or without a fraud charge? Seriously. We're going to go ahead and process charges against Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, everybody who vetted Barack Obama's fake birth certificate. It's not over until the fat lady sings. And believe me, we haven't even had a redress of our issues for 8 years. You've had suppression in our entire country. You've had Elena Kagan literally controlling the input of cases to the Supreme Court. We are dealing with total corruption. You think we're going to sit back and watch this just blow over and, well, it's okay. No! Not going to happen. Not under my watch. Yeah, well, this is a centrist room. We are a centrist party. I'm a person who's a social liberal and a fiscal conservative at the same time. I'm more than willing to talk about socially liberal issues. At the same time, I talk about important issues about fiscal management. I would love to bring about a clean environment with fresh water and clean air. I would love to make this country export products that are in demand around the world because they are so wonderful. And we even wrote a book about this called Hybrid Capitalism. And the book is for sale for 99-cent download or a $14.99 hard copy or paperback copy. But the concept of hybrid capitalism makes the government run efficiently and creates an opportunity for the government to compete in the free market with other companies. I know that sounds kind of like socialism to some of you, but it's not. In fact, it's nowhere near what socialism is. Socialism literally hijacks an entire industry by government control using unfair advantage. That's not what we're proposing. For instance, pharmaceuticals. Big Pharma has an ironclad hold over Big Pharma production and selling of pharmaceuticals to your grandpa and grandma, and they're probably paying $300-400 a month for their diabetes medication and their heart blood pressure medication, and that is a pretty solid market they've got right now. But there's a lot of old people that can't afford the things that save their lives, and we believe that generic medicine could be an opportunity for our government to actually compete and provide really good value. $20 for pills that would normally cost $160. So why not do that? Why not do that with partnering up with a generic pharmaceutical company and make government-issued generic medicine? The Cuba deal is too much too soon. I don't really want to open door with trade yet, but I'm definitely open to exchanging trade opportunities with Cuba, for sure. Yeah, we've already opened the door, but it's a little too wide. We need to tighten it a little bit. Well, at this point, I believe in free trade as opposed to NAFTA, CAFTA, and TPP. I'm against TPP. Any type of regulations that impair free trade, other than a 15% tariff, is what I'm proposing. A 15% ecological tariff. Yeah, marijuana legalization would be a great thing for the country. We will be able to produce very, very good mobile medical units with my plan, the mobile medical unit plan for the VA. We talked about that as an alternative to what we have today. We want to make sure public doctors and nonprofit hospitals and public hospitals are kept at a standard fee, so that procedures are not more than they should be, so that the caps on salaries for public doctors and public administrators at public hospitals would be about $150,000 a year. And with our plan, we would also include free medical malpractice insurance with that. So doctors would be lured in to our plan because they don't have to deal with the high cost of medical malpractice insurance, as well as the enlarged paperwork issue that comes with being a doctor nowadays, with Obamacare and all this crap. I will nullify Obamacare. The ecological tariff is strictly to limit pollution. As far as climate change is concerned, the whole thing is being completely orchestrated by weather modification. Our nation is literally facing the ravages of weather modification. It's not global climate change like we know it. The thing the Democrats are pushing is BS. What we're experiencing is a bizarre weather anomalies completely caused by very disturbing weather modification techniques being deployed across the country. Our government isn't even fully aware of what's happening. There is a massive amount of chemtrail activity blowing in the skies over your head. Whether you know it or not, they are literally dropping tons of silver iodide and sulfates into the atmosphere. Even a NASA scientist has openly admitted this is going on. Check this out.
Right. There was lithium dispersed, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. I think you might be under some misconceptions about what we're doing, but I'm happy to tell you any details that you need.
Well, I know that it says in your article that you're doing it for communications.
Okay, I'm happy to talk to you more about it. There are many reasons we're doing it.
Okay.
We don't understand how the wind in the upper atmosphere moves.
Mm-hmm.
In these chemtrails, there's different kinds of chemtrails, as you probably know. Different trails at night we use and different trails during the day. The wind blows them around. They glow either on their own or from scattered sunlight. We take pictures and we can see how the wind trail moves around.
Okay, so they are dumping chemtrails day and night. And that's just one reveal. There's countless reveals of this going on. So you people who are obsessed with global climate change, really, you need to wake up to what is called weather modification. That's what's really causing the drought in California. They're literally engineering the drought to weaken our most important economic state. California's economy is equal to about the 10th largest economy in the world. It was the 5th largest economy in the world about 8 years ago, but now it's the 10th largest economy in the world because California is declining because of the drought, because of the stupidity of its democratically led government and the stupidity of the leaders that have screwed up the country, even Republicans, for many years. State of California is a complete bureaucracy nightmare, utter bureaucracy nightmare. They're $560 billion in debt now. This is up from about $26 billion 10 years ago. They're now $526 billion, or $560 billion is the recent quote. If you go to the debt clock, let's see if I can go there right now. We'll know the exact figure. Yeah, Sarah will be in a little later. She's at a meeting right now, so. Yeah, this is always a good website to go to. The U.S. National Debt Clock. Yeah, Democratic traitors, I know. Real time, breaking news. We will not get kids high, no. New black chemtrails are reported worldwide. This is coming from Bengalitis. Okay, so let's take a look at the state of California. Here's the national debt at $19 trillion. And if you ever want to check out the debt, this is a real-time log of the debt system.
Black chemtrails. Have you seen these yet? They're a little weird. They're perfectly straight. They're literally like a black chemtrail. And then another plane,
here we are,
will come along and spray exactly where that black chemtrail points. It literally follows it all the way. And
yeah, this is common. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, yeah, black chemtrails preceding the white ones. Interracial chemtrails. Isn't that wonderful? Courtesy of our lame government that doesn't even know what's happening. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, $19 trillion in debt. And then we go to the state of California. Let's take a look. Get the true number. The debt is at 427, I was incorrect at 560, $427 billion. Wow. There you go. So that's the real debt, 427. It changes, it varies from day to day. Yeah, these chemtrails are being dumped on a daily basis.
And if you have not seen these black chemtrails yet, I'm sure you will, Google it. Check it out. I mean, it's like, what the fuck are these things?
How can there be a shadow if there's nothing there? How can these shadows even exist if there are no chemtrails? How can something that doesn't exist cast a shadow in the middle of the sky and not anywhere else? Have you ever seen this in person? The first time we saw this in person, we were like, nah man, this ain't right. This is freaky. When's the last time you saw a cloud cast a shadow in the sky? This ain't no water vapor. X-shaped clouds aren't natural. We've covered this extensively in the last 2 broadcasts. What you're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, are death trails. They're the manifestation of negative energy around a murder weapon. And this murder weapon is so charged that you can actually see it in the form of...
You can see it in the form
This
of
is a memo that describes how we're going to
pollution.
take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
This is the New World. Take a good look at it. Brought to you by the New World Order. Death.
Okay, that's Ron Johnson. All right, so yeah, we are processing this. Is going on. David, is the U.S. debt a major concern as far as its security goes? If so, why? Is China going to invade us sometime and say we want our money? No, it's not going to happen. The U.S. debt is not crippling. In fact, we've got $40 trillion worth of gold in possession at the World Bank. We just can't acquire it. We don't have it in our hands. The Federal Reserve is managing this ridiculous Ponzi scheme. And as soon as we get the Federal Reserve out of our government, and it's not even part of our government, but out of the central bank position, the sooner we'll be able to get a hold of that $40 trillion. Up to $40 trillion was held in trust for us in gold bullion. by the World Bank right after World War II. So we're clear. We can pay off our debt to China and Japan once we get that gold. But the people that are controlling the access to the gold, the Federal Reserve, and their little henchmen for the World Bank, they are the ones that are going to prevent us from actually getting liquid and free, solvent again. But then we have to trim our spending. We can't just possibly keep borrowing money like our current government's been doing. And this is why the two parties are literally collapsing under the pressure. They don't have any other solutions but borrowing money. And there comes a point where you can no longer borrow money. So many states are going to see municipal bond issues drop. It could affect the stock market. It could very well affect the money market accounts as well as 401ks. So yeah, there may be a big shift or a rift in the stock market coming still. But our dollar is strong, and it's still the world currency, so there's no reason to think that we're going to jump off that ship anytime soon. The BRIC nations have been unable to actually gain any ground in creating a reserve or alternate currencies for other countries to trade. Now, Iran, we just found out that Russia is, of course, suspending the S-300 shipment on news that Iran may very well be involved in some nefarious actions based on information they received from Israel. So Russia is starting to question Iran. They're also pulling out of Syria. Russia is. That's happening right now. They've done their job. They reacquired 400 different areas, populated areas in Syria, pushing the rebel forces that our country and the IMF and the NATO forces have been pushing rebel forces to receive money. We don't need to keep funding a war in Syria. That's not something that we need to do. We also don't need to create more aggression with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. That's another problem. Well, I heard that, Victor. Victor says world currencies are going to collapse and gold will go to 4,000 an ounce by 2020. Many people have predicted that, Victor, but unless you can figure out how to get rid of the paper gold and the paper silver markets, your point is a moot point. Because so far the paper gold and paper silver markets have suppressed the value of gold and silver significantly. So if you can somehow redress the issue of the New York Mercantile Exchange and COMEX, we could certainly talk about this issue, but I'm hesitant to believe that that's going to happen. Gold is still stagnant, yeah. Yeah, most of the gold is fake. Yeah, some people, Transcender made a good point. Yeah, there's evidence that the gold that was sold to China during the time that Clinton was president was actually made out of tungsten with gold plating. Yeah, don't tell the Chinese government that, but yeah, it could be true. They may want to drill in and see if they pull up tungsten. Yeah, absolutely, the dollar is a strong social contract and very well could propel our country back into a position where we can help lead the world and help growth regain around the world. We're looking at countries that are reliant on the value of our dollar, and they certainly don't want to bail on it, but we at the same time can't give away money recklessly or we begin to weaken our dollar. Now, the current leader of Canada, Justin Trudeau, is toying with the idea of giving everybody in Canada, 30 million people, $600, $800, $900 a month. And that's something that's extremely dangerous considering Canada's dollar is weakening against the US dollar. And he's still thinking of his socialist plan like the Netherlands have already done that. Finland's done that. We can't afford to do that. We have too many people. We have way too many people to do that. It would take literally about $2.5 trillion to give everybody about $700, $800 a month, every U.S. citizen. We don't have $2.3 trillion to blow. We bring in less than that now with our taxes on the GDP. So unless we took the money from Donald Trump, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, every CEO took all their assets, seized every asset of every single rich person in our country, could we do that? There's no way we could do that any other way. So maybe Bernie Sanders has a plan to steal money that way from people that have lots of money. I don't think that's going to work, though. Yeah, well, Canadian dollar is coming back. up to 75 cents in transfer rate. We'll see how that works, but he hasn't made any payments yet, my Walla Walla. MB Walla Walla says, actually, Dave, the Canadian dollar is improving. Yeah, but unless Justin Trudeau makes payments, I mean, yeah, it will improve. But if he starts making payments to his population on a daily, monthly basis, that dollar is going to go back down. Yeah, we saw this earlier. This is a pretty funny picture. It's a paste up where Trump comes in and Bernie comes in. I think that was done in After Effects. Yeah, you can do a lot of matting in After Effects. It's pretty cool. Yeah, we're here. Yeah, I just don't think it'll fly. I don't think that Justin Trudeau can pull it off. Oh, yeah. The tax proposals will stifle our economy, suffer the off. Ideas that are socially progressive are one thing, but if we measure them against the cost economically, even the minimum wage laws to be up to $10 an hour, you're getting nothing but resistance from the Republicans. They actually have groups within the Republican Party that want to get rid of minimum wage entirely, which is, in my opinion, is stupid. Minimum wage should be $10 an hour, but I'd never get Congress to agree to that. What I will do is create an infrastructure bank offering 2% loans to U.S. businesses hiring U.S. citizens at a living wage of $15 an hour. So 2% loans to U.S. businesses is the key. Getting American government to fund startup operations again. Thank you. I'm very substantive. It's 10 out there. Yeah, well, I'm getting a little bit weak from not eating prior to the show, so I forgot to eat today. And I'm down on coffee. And, of course, Sarah has these late meetings sometimes, and I just can't break away from the show. So I'm going to have another guest host take over the show. His name is Jack Stevens. And he is an impersonator, I guess. He's a rock and roll promoter. He talks a lot about David Bowie. Well, heck, it is David Bowie. What can I say? He's still alive. I didn't want to break it to you, but yeah. David Bowie, everyone. This guy, Jack Stevens, came out one day after Bowie died, and he made comments on a news channel. He's not been seen prior in his entire life, yet he claims to be a major rock and roll promoter. And Fortress Records is his label, and it just looks to me like more and more like this guy is indeed David Bowie. Let's take a look and listen to his little comment right after this happened. Well, same everything. I mean, pretty much. Same eyebrows, same everything.
After uploading that video last night,
I'll be right back,
showing that David Bowie is alive and well, playing the character of Jack Stevens, a supposed music industry executive with Fortress Music, I received a few messages from people stating there is a Jack Stevens on VMO. Let's compare the two. One thing I noticed right away, the teeth are not the same. I'm going to break this down a little bit here. Then I'm going to play the clips with David Bowie speaking and Jack Stevens, the supposed Jack Stevens from a few years back. Let's take a look at this image here. And this is the Jack Stevens from VMO in that video I'm going to show in a bit. But let's take a look at David Bowie and his teeth here. And that smile, you see no gap whatsoever in these teeth. And look at Jack Stevens, or supposed Jack Stevens, who's nothing more than David Bowie. No gap whatsoever. Unbelievable. I'm going to play some video clips. Again, with Jack Stevens speaking, you can clearly see that gap. I got a little bit of a close-up. You can definitely tell that this character, Jack Stevens, and David Bowie's playing that character, Jack Stevens. And who knows what happened to the real Jack Stevens, but nonetheless, David Bowie is alive and well. and he showed up on Sky News playing the character Jack Stevens.
I've been asked here, as a complete outsider, to talk about Dallas's music scene. I have to stress that I am here on vacation, and I'm spending a lot of time in Dallas because I have a girlfriend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53. Girlfriend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53. Friend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53.
First, sum up how you felt this morning when you heard this news.
I was just saying earlier that I actually felt that part of me had died. I mean, I have to say that's how much an influence he is, I think, to me and to thousands and millions of people around the world. And strangely, I'm surprised. I sort of lived through John Lennon's death, Elvis's death, and sadly, this one's affected me more than any other. I mean, it's a very strange thing.
Kind of frozen there in time and space. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I had to take a break. I had to get some coffee and do what normally comes natural when people drink coffee. Well, I disagree. David Bowie had a hit recently. Yeah, he sold a lot of albums. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people die. One of them is their record sales go way up. So manufactured deaths are one way to get record sales going. They probably made a deal with him and they said, hey, you're going to have a good chance to... Yeah, that was a fake gap. His teeth he's wearing like black gum in there. You can put like licorice in your teeth and make it look like you've got a broken teeth. That's a very simple tool. I only have to show you a picture of Bowie when he was young, 15 days before he died. I mean, there was a picture of him. Well, I didn't know he was a Satanist until later. I am not the reincarnation of Max Headroom. Max Headroom was a cheap copy of me. I was around in the early 80s before Max Headroom. I was in Hollywood. I was doing my thing. People said, David, are you Max Headroom? It's very possible they took a character from me and made Max Headroom. I'm not sure. I am the real David Sponheim, yes. Bowie was a Luciferian sacrifice to honor... No, I don't think he died. I really believe that guy Jack Stevens is David Bowie. I predicate my belief on the simple fact that Jack Stevens didn't exist prior. There's no evidence that he even existed. So when you look at a picture of David Bowie 15 days before he died, you have to ask, is this the guy with advanced liver cancer? I mean, take a look at this picture. Looking sprightly, isn't he? Yeah. This is 15 days before he died. I've seen people with advanced liver cancer before, and honestly, this guy is not dying of advanced liver cancer. There's no indication. He would have sores on his cheeks, and his face would be pallid yellow. And there's no evidence that this guy is dying of anything. Yeah, that whole idea of his funeral being completely eliminated. I mean, he was saving money. I mean, of course he didn't want a funeral. He's not dead. So that's a conspiracy theory if you want to believe it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, even his record as a Luciferian and a Satanist is well documented. I don't need to go into detail. All right. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Joan Rivers was killed. She was killed for saying the truth about Michelle Obama being a transgender. The day that happened, and we played the video on our show, and it never played in the mainstream media, by the way. Joan Rivers talking about Michelle being a dude. Dude looks like a lady. Yeah. Well, whether Joan Rivers was an ass bag or not, I mean, that seriously. her daughter is suing the Yorkville Endoscopy Clinic right now, and for wrongful death. Her mother never signed on to the throat biopsy that she had, which killed her. So, I mean, to say that Joan Rivers was an ass bag, you called her? I mean, that's just, what does that have to do with the fact that she was killed for speaking out the truth about Michelle being a transgender? I mean, well, is it true or not? I don't know. I can't verify. But we have a picture of the late Joan Rivers speaking out about this, and I'd like to play it for you if that's okay. Maybe I can ask my computer kindly, will you let me play this video? Please? Please, pretty please? Well, Melissa's case is that her mother was wrongfully killed, and she went into looking for an autopsy of her mother, and there was no autopsy performed on her mother. So, I mean, it's just one bumbling case after another covering up the truth that Michelle Obama probably was pissed off that, you know, she's been outed, and they got rid of her. But we said that she'd probably die in 1.5 months, and she did.
How are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited.
Okay.
And I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay. She does this.
Well, apparently it did matter to a lot of people. So, testing 1, 2, 3, mic check. Yeah, she said she doesn't choke, and then she choked to death a month and a half later. Accusing her is not going anywhere, okay? Melissa has a strong case of a cover-up by the Yorkville Clinic, the fact that there was no autopsy on her mother. I mean, it surprises me that she hasn't won the case by now, but they're probably still delaying it. No, she didn't. No, she was murdered by an unknown doctor who came in without even having clearance for a procedure. I mean, the whole thing is very sketchy from this point on. We still haven't really revealed, because we don't know the truth about what happened that fateful day when Joan Rivers was killed on the operating table. Also, what about Justice Scalia? Let's not forget him. Found with a pillowcase over his head. Our former justice, Supreme Court justice, was dead, they claimed, in his bed, with his sheets weren't even ruffled, according to the testimony of the person that saw him there. His sheets were not even ruffled. His arms were laying by his side, almost like he was laying in state, and a pillowcase was over his head. Now tell me that isn't a recipe for at least an investigation. They didn't investigate it. They shuttled his body rapidly to a funeral parlor near there, and immediately embalmed it. No autopsy was ordered. Now, he was at a meeting of hunters for a Masonic society run by the guy that was hosting him at this place where he's staying, Cibola Creek Lodge. And the guy's name is Poindexter, and he's the leader of this group of hunters. And we don't know if Scalia was there on a hunting trip, but he was staying for free at this guy's palatial lodge. And it was the Hubertus Society. That's what it is. It's a group of Masons that go hunting and killing animals. They enjoy that. And it reeks of cover-up, left and right. So I really believe that I'm not implicating that she was murdered. She was murdered. Yeah, they're doing discovery right now to find out why they cut her vocal cord and why she choked to death. Believe me, at the end, you'll probably be just like Michael Jackson and Dr. Murray. Dr. Murray killed Michael Jackson, in case you didn't know. Michael Jackson was murdered. He didn't die from overdosing on propofol. purposely. He actually was murdered and Dr. Murray got off with only 2 years. He had a 4-year sentence. It was originally a 6-year sentence, commuted to a 4-year sentence, and got off in 2 years. Jerry Brown released him. At this point, method would be slitting her throat, her vocal cords, in a procedure that was not signed on by the doctors. So Joan Rivers has every legal right, if she were to be alive today, has every reason to say she was murdered. She did not sign on to the procedure, the biopsy of her vocal cords. That's a fact, Jack. We're not racist here. Well, many of you are already deep in the throes of being dumbed down. So since you're being dumbed down, it's not surprising to me that Murray is a Freemason of all things. I mean, we're talking about a group of people that have been secretly controlling the entire world we live in, and veritably the people that we consider stars. Dr. Murray is a known Freemason. You are a Freemason? Okay. Well, I'm not implicating people who are Freemasons. I'm just saying this is a secret society member who was probably called in to kill Michael Jackson. And he only served 2 years in a minimum security prison. I mean, this is an absolute recipe for killing people. Give them drugs that they can't possibly live on. Apparently, Michael Jackson, they say, would have died had he been on propofol a few more weeks, because he had no REM sleep at all. And you absolutely need REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, in order to get better, to make yourself feel normal. So we're not entertaining ridiculous ideas. We're simply talking about, look, I didn't have any credibility with you to start with, so I'm going to ban you, Mr. Foster. We have a show dedicated to discussing conspiracy issues on Monday. If you don't know what we're doing right now, you don't understand what we're doing. Unlike the two-party system, which won't even talk about 9/11 being an inside job, and you will not get Donald Trump to commit to that statement. Unlike the two-party system in the mainstream media, which is controlled daily, we take on these issues. We don't mind. You can call me whatever you want. You can call me crazy if you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to take these issues on because they are important issues. When I see a picture of David Bowie 15 days before he's dead, it looks like he's in his absolute health, not looking like he's dying of liver cancer, and you're here to believe everything you read on the newspaper. I'm here to say, no, things are not exactly what you think they are. They're being contrived and controlled. We showed you fumes coming out of planes, jets, black smoke followed by white chemtrails. And you say, oh, this is crazy. Why are you bringing this stuff up? Ooh. How can I help you as a nation, as a president, if I don't take on these tough issues? I'll be an absolute puppet like Hillary or Donald if I didn't take on these tough issues. So yeah, we do take on these tough issues. No, he didn't look ill. That's ridiculous. Looks great. Looks fantastic. Yeah. I've seen people in end-stage, fourth-stage cancer, end-stage cancer, 15 days before they die. You want me to show you pictures of people 15 days before they die of liver cancer? Here he is, 15 days before liver cancer. There he is right there. That was his video that he produced. He was actively producing videos up until his death. Now I'll show you somebody who's on his deathbed with liver cancer. Okay, there's a guy on his deathbed. I don't know who he is, but that's a guy 15 days before death with liver cancer, okay? Do you see a similarity between these two pictures at all? Sprightly, walking around with a smile on his face. Does that guy look like... Yeah, I mean, come on. Give me a break. Poor guy who died of liver cancer. David Bowie, Charlie Sheen, play with degenerate sex and you get burned. Don't mess with the gods. Okay. So you're saying Charlie Sheen is dying because But he's just got HIV. He's not dying. Or is he? Now, Charlie Sheen has come out claiming he has HIV positive. Racism is not a problem, and we'll be ending. The idea of racism is not something I can stop. If you think I was going to stop racism in America, then you want me to overturn the First Amendment? Is that what you're asking me? Because I'm not going to be able to do that. If people want to be racist, I can't control what they do. I support freedom of speech, which gives them the right to speak out if they are racist. But you can also speak out and call people racist too. I don't prosecute people for calling me a racist. It's ridiculous. I'm not a racist, but I'm not going to take away your right to call me something. So he was cured of HIV drinking goat's milk, really? No, it's becoming more like your brain on acid. That's what this show really is about. Now, this is a guy who's taken, he's an artist that's taken mescaline, ketamine, LSD. He's taken a drug called love. All these drugs he's taken, he does a new painting every time he takes a drug under doctor's supervision. So, in a way, this is your brain on acid. This is on codeine. THC, ooh. It's a cool one. It's an interesting picture, isn't it? So, I don't support legalization of all drugs, just marijuana as an herb, a medicinal herb that should be legalized. I want to make the country clean, as you can see by the clean water and the air. That's a reminder to you that I represent truth as well. Well, if you are a big, number 6 says he's a Freemason and he follows Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, then you've read in that book, number 6, and I'm not a Mason, but I know for a fact that Albert Pike discusses how the tip of the pyramid of the Masonic order is supposed to lie to all the other Masons below them. You read that, right? Albert Pike being the only Confederate in a statue of anybody from the Confederate War in D.C. It's interesting. Albert Pike's position in the Masons is well known, and the fact that they even made a Confederate statue of him in the U.S. Capitol is very interesting in and of itself. Yeah. Well, I don't have a copy of it, number 6. Why don't you get your concordance out and look up on Dogma and Morals Albert Pike's exact statement? But he did say that he wanted all of the people to know that the upper Masons, the 33rd Masons, are supposed to lie to everyone below. So if you're a Mason and you think that they could do no wrong, how do you know you're not being lied to? I'm concerned about Zionism. I am. I'm very anti-Zionist. But I'm not here to erase the state of Israel. Israel has a right to exist now. We can't go back in history. But we don't want overtaking authority of certain Jewish families like the Rothschild family. And we've seen this happen time and time again. The Rothschilds have literally combined income and total assets of $200 trillion. That's huge. Many people don't realize that the Rothschilds own 160 banks around the world. A complete list of the banks owned or controlled by the Rothschilds is right here. So yeah, we have a lot to be concerned about. And the fact that Donald Trump doesn't take a strong stance against Zionism should really make you think twice about this two-party conspiracy, if you will. Donald Trump, his daughter is Jewish. He goes to all the Jewish meetings in New York, and they endorsed by the greater Jewish people of Trump and the whole, yeah. But look at this. These are the people that own Trump. Yeah. The old quote from Baron Rothschild, "Give me control over a nation's currency and I care not what it makes, or who makes its laws." There's their seal. They control all these banks. Look at them. Just endless. Bahamas, Belize, Bosnia. Cambodia, Cayman Islands, Congo. They own all these banks. Every one of these banks is owned by the family, the Rothschild family. And more importantly, the bank we know as the Federal Reserve is owned by the Rothschilds. Oh, and they own the IRS too, by the way, a privately owned corporation. Virtually unknown to the general public is the fact that the U.S. Federal Reserve is a privately owned company sitting on its very own patch of land, immune to U.S. laws. That's right. And they created the IRS in order to fund the interest on the debt that they keep acquiring as they print up money and give it to our government to operate. I'm just giving you the backbone of the conspiracy theory. Our great president, U.S. President Andrew Jackson, in 1835, declared his disdain for the international bankers. "You're a den of vipers. I intend to rout you out, and by the eternal God I will rout you out. If the people only understood the rank injustice of our money and banking system, there would be a revolution before morning." But you're too fluoridated to have a revolution, aren't you? This is not old news. A lot of people don't know this. Yeah, they got a whole scam working on taking over the final banks that they're looking for. The Syrian Central Bank, they're trying to control Syria. They're trying to control, they control Yemen now. They got rid of President Saleh, and they've installed their junta leader. They're controlling every nation's central bank. They want a global world control. And what the New World Order is the rebranding of the monarchy. No, I'm not Lemurian and I'm not Atlantean, but thank you for asking. Yeah, quantitative easing, printing money, but the markets give the dollar value. Exactly. But the markets eventually, the value of the dollar erodes with the more money we have in circulation. You know, I'm going to give you the link so you can just check it yourself if they own the Afghanistan bank. But I wouldn't doubt they're involved in the Afghanistan opium operation. Yeah, so anti-Zionism is on my agenda. I don't in any way have anger toward Jewish people. I feel that everybody should have equal opportunity. But therein lies the problem. You can't afford to go to medical school if you're not a Jewish person and have money from your family to get you through medical school. So it's clearly leaning in the direction of more money to get a qualified professional degree. I want to eliminate that barrier by offering a national medical system which offers young people a chance to become a doctor without having to go through traditional medical schools at $50,000 a year. I mean, we're going to give people a chance to become a doctor or an EMT or a physician's assistant and literally pay back the government for their free tuition by giving service and making a salary at the same time. So like a 10-year service at our mobile medical units or our public doctor positions at the VA would guarantee you a free education. You'd also get a salary. So your time at the VA would go toward your paying back your student loans, and you'd get a salary on top of that. That's a way to finance bringing on people. More doctors means less cost for you, the patient. And this isn't something that is hocus pocus. This is a reality. We have more public doctors. You're not going to be paying more than $50 for a visit to the doctor. Right now, you're paying $500. Clinton on an email server indictment. Now, she has so much political power. She's like a political whale, Hillary is. She controls the horizontal and the vertical. I mean, they haven't been able to pin anything on her. Anything that looks or resembles like an indictment, she's able to deflect. She's got a tremendous amount of power, Hillary does. Here is her response on the email server issue.
"104 emails in your private server that the government now says contain classified information, according to the Washington Post analysis. That goes against a memo that you personally sent to your employees in 2011, directing all of them to use official email precisely because of security concerns. So it seems that you issued one set of rules for yourself and a different set of rules for the rest of the State Department. So who specifically gave you permission to operate your email system as you did? Was it President Barack Obama? And would you drop out of the race if you get indicted?
Well, Jorge, there's a lot of questions in there, and I'm going to give the same answer I've been giving for many months. It wasn't the best choice. I made a mistake. It was not prohibited. It was not in any way disallowed. And as I've said, and as now has come out, my predecessors did the same thing, and many other people in the government. But here's the cut to the chase facts. I did not send or receive any emails marked classified at the time. What you're talking about is retroactive classification. And the reason that happens is when somebody asks, or when you are asked to make information public. I asked all my emails to be made public. Then all the rest of the government gets to weigh in. And some other parts of the government, we're not exactly sure who, has concluded that some of the emails should be now retroactively classified. They've just said the same thing to former Secretary Colin Powell. They have said, we're going to retroactively classify emails you sent personally. Now, I think he was right when he said this is an absurdity. And I think that what we've got here is a case of overclassification. I am not concerned about it. I am not worried about it. And no Democrat or American should be either.
The questions were, Secretary Clinton, the questions were, who gave you permission to operate? Was it President Obama?
There was no permission to be asked. It had been done by my predecessors. It was permitted. I didn't have to ask anyone.
If you get indicted, would you drop out?
Oh, for goodness, that is not going to happen. I'm not even answering that question.
That's not going to happen, okay? So she's never going to have to answer this because the two parties are controlled. Hillary has so much dirt on other people running for Congress and for other offices that she would never be held accountable by the Republicans. You're wondering why Hillary hasn't been charged the crime, even though she's violated Class C felony laws on public disclosure. But nobody's going to in any way charge her with the crime. I doubt even Donald Trump would charge her with the crime, even if he were to win an election, simply because he's part of the problem. He's a puppet, just like she is. So they both meld in the center of the New World Order. They're both part of that New World Order. The two parties are one party, really. It's not two parties. It's a fake two-party dilemma they're creating. They're giving you the illusion that we have somehow a choice, an illusion of free choice. Class C is the lowest. It's a civil penalty, but at least we could do that. We could do that, but we haven't even seen that. I don't hate anybody. I just want to see, people held accountable. If Hillary has done some horrible things, say, for instance, she purposely ignored Chris Stevens' questions and asks, whenever he called her office and said, I needed security, he said he needed security. She never gave him security. She deferred in the recent hearings with Trey Gowdy that she had left that up to the NSA. When in fact, she never even made comments to the NSA about the questions from Chris Stevens. She never did a cross-reference, an interdepartmental request for security for Chris Stevens. She didn't do anything for security. So say she was in fact complicit in the death of Chris Stevens. Now that's a hypothetical. I cannot prove, but if we had emails, we could prove that, wouldn't we? So we've seen a definite willful decision by Hillary to completely conceal information and evidence for 5 solid months. Hello, Clarice. I mean, this is beyond your wildest imaginations. This is her hiding from any questions or any indictments and saying that's not going to happen. This woman is running a campaign like the iron-fisted lady of her imagination. She's not going to in any way be questioned about anything. So how transparent could she be as a president? I mean, for all we know, she's going to be forcing all of us to be vaccinated. That would be one implementation she would engage in. She's already said that she's in favor of RFID chipping of people, that we're looking forward to that in the future. We've seen an actual quote from Hillary suggesting that she wants to RFID chip everybody. Yeah. This quote comes to mind. from a video that we have in our library. It's a serious indictment of what Hillary's all about. She is a beacon of the New World Order. She's a person they want to put out there to control our very brain. This is a quote from Hillary Clinton. At the rate that technology is advancing, people will be implanting chips in our children to advertise directly into their brains and tell them what kind of products to buy. That's not a person who's objecting to it. She's in favor of that. Yeah. So at this point, it makes a big difference. At this point, we can't afford to have a person like Hillary as our president, and we certainly can't afford to have a person who's a divider like Donald Trump, who clearly is following the footsteps of other fascist leaders like Hitler.
What difference at this point does it make?
It makes a whole hell of a lot of difference, Hillary, if you were complicit in the death of Chris Stevens and 3 others. That's what difference it makes. How can we possibly put trust and faith in you as a person when you may very well have been behind the actions taken against our own ambassador in Benghazi? Now, an interesting note that didn't come up in the recent Trey Gowdy hearings, which many people aren't even aware of, but Hillary released the MEK, known terrorist group, from the list of known terrorists one day after Benghazi happened. One day after Benghazi happened, she released the MEK from the list of known terrorists. I mean, if that doesn't reek of payback, I don't know what does. They may very well have been the people perpetrating this terrorist act. Okay, here's a great image from Scissor Fight. Let's show you what we have here. They're releasing the sheep to go vote as a block of people. One at a time, they're allowed to vote the same place. That's a great graphic. Thank you. Damn it. What's your problem, Super Dave? Bernie for Hospice Care 2016. There you go. It is kind of cute, isn't it? I know. I wish we could have one person, and every single person write my name in, we would be able to disarm this armed two-party system. Right now, they've got all full board, money-back supporters from corporations. They've got everybody they need to continue their control over our future. And we don't have much at all in terms of questioning them, and we certainly don't have a lobbying group representing the American people. So I can't tell you how hopeless and helpless we are. I mean, it should be obvious to all of you how important what we're doing is. Just raising the bar of awareness is the number one thing here. But yeah, it's been a problem for a long time. The fact that we've had a massive amount of censorship on our third-party activity is really indicative of a corrupt country. That alone would make people say, oh, this is not good. When they shun people who are honest individuals like myself trying to separate from the two parties, and they literally vilified me in the media, the foreign press, when I ran for a local election in 2014. And on top of that, they took 90% of my signs, ripped them down, and destroyed them. They literally will cheat to keep the power that they have, the Democrats, Republicans.
I like that movie where they not only cheat, but they even take people out. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they'll take people out as well. They will. Hello, Sarah. Hello.
Welcome. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
An hour. I was in
a meeting. I know.
Oh, and then I looked outside. I went out. I took my friend to Jack in the Box, and
oh, good.
And then I was looking outside, and I was thinking, oh, it's only 6:30 because of like how the time change, you know.
Yeah. And it was 7:30.
And it's like, then I looked at, oh my goodness, it's 7:30.
It's really 7:30. Yeah, that's okay. Well, that's cool. People want to get to know who you are as well. And this is Sarah. She's my vice presidential choice for the upcoming election.
I will do my best, but I don't know everything, Dr. No. I will answer as many questions as I can. Go ahead and type them in.
You know, Transcender says, I've run a lot of campaigns. It's not strange for 90% of signs to be torn down.
Wow.
We are not living in a free country. We are not living in a democratic nation at all. This is a disaster. When our country is literally having signs taken down, and you've been around and you've seen this happen countless times, this is not exactly what we need, folks. So it's a reality check for a lot of people to realize this country needs accountability.
Actually, both KHLO. The meeting was about being positive behavior.
Yes, good.
That's what it was all about. I love being positive. I'm such a positive person.
Good.
I'm just naturally that way, and I believe in focusing on the positive and teaching. Oh, Chloe. All right, and teaching people to be positive.
Good. Well, we had a discussion about this last week. I believe that the yin-yang factor plays into positivity to a certain degree. You can tilt it in your favor by being positive, but if you don't recognize certain negative factors in the world, and that's why I do the show on Conspiracy Monday. If I were just blatantly positive about everything without even questioning the mistakes of the current administration, it really wouldn't add to the depth and really substance of our discussion on Conspiracy Monday. So I think you have to temper some positivity with a little bit of negativity to make it real. That's really what I was saying.
I think you can be real and be positive. I'm really positive.
Well, but I just don't think you can just purely be positive without recognizing, like people in front of you may be suffering. And you're saying, come on, people, you've got cancer. Be positive. Look at the bright side. You'll be dead soon. I mean, that's not exactly positive. So you have to recognize that there are a lot of problems in the world, and you've got to be positive through that process. That's what I'm trying to say. I'll be right back.
Okay, Grizzly Ray, this is the first time I'm hearing that news, and whatever other people want to do with their own life, it's fine. Yes, that's true. Sometimes it doesn't matter about the attitude. Whether you have a positive attitude or a negative attitude, all that matters is the end goal and getting there. However you get there. Sometimes you have to overcome a lot of negativity to get to a positive. You mean earning money working overtime, or working here as well as working where I normally work? It'll make it all better. It's true, I guess it makes it better for some people. You're the dude that pulls the person from the burning car. Did you do that already? Have you done that before? That's kind of interesting. Okay, thanks for the link, Scissor Fights. You claim you would. Hopefully you would. I would like to think I would be that person. However, I've never been in that situation. Well, Dr. No, you're welcome to reach out to that person for us. Thank you. I haven't yet. No, I'm sorry. But you can definitely do that. So, I would appreciate that effort on your part. For David's sake. Yes, the yin and the yang, negative and positive, coexist, and they make a very strong team, a very strong connection. Yes, true, Dr. No. So you can work on the reach. You're kind of an emotion too. Okay. A revolutionary stem cell surgery restored sight in children with cataracts. That's interesting. Oh, there's no negativity and no positivity? I guess then you do need to explain the yin yang symbol to me. I like the constantly vacillating. Like is it something about tension? Or is it kind of like the sine wave, always in motion? I kind of like that because I totally dig like the sine neck. Is it negative and positive, or 0 and 1? Guess we'll have to wait and read. So, revolutionary stem cell surgery restored sight in children with cataracts. Over half of all cases of blindness are caused by cataracts. A pioneering new surgery took place in China. So 12 children have been saved from blindness after surgeons activated stem cells within the eye to grow a completely new lens. I wonder how they did that. It's both black and white. It's neither black nor white. Oh, it's both. That's kind of cool. Thank you, Transcender. It's the nature of things. They exist and they don't exist. It's here and not here. Oh, sorry, Victory. The casting is definitely happening, and hopefully you are making phone calls for David during the day. I appreciate that. It takes all of us. It can't be done with just David, and it can't be done with just me. It needs all of us working together. Okay. That's what I would say is, and so yes, I know that this campaign needs a lot more than so I need all of you, and you're all intelligent, smart people, and I need all of you to volunteer your time. Yep. And I'm sorry that you're disappointed, but I'm doing what I can do. So I'm here. That's what I can do. That is a cool thing, Scissor Fight. Very good. 5 symptoms are sent by your body 1 month before a heart attack. Wow. Yes, I'm sure karma, cause and effect does exist. But the effect can be the cause of something else. Monkey times. It's not always the effect of what caused it, but it can be the effect of something else. So for instance, I'll do something with a positive. If I help someone, they might help someone else. So there's that. There's also like a hurricane knocking down a house could cause the person inside. The hurricane causes the house to knock down, which causes the TV to crumple, which causes people to not be able to watch TV. No, these are all natural. No implants needed. Endlessly. Causality does not necessarily mean free will is an illusion. I would say just because something causes something else to happen does not mean that you don't have a choice. That's what I would say. Free will is a choice. And so I think what your choices are then creates a different cause or a different effect, which can lead to a different cause of something different. Okay, I suppose I perceive a choice, and that's what matters. True. All right. Chest pain. So the most often warning symptoms that appear weeks before a heart attack include chest pain, backache, pain in the left arm, discomfort in the jaw, and fatigue. Hello, the explorists. Yes, some people can, believe in the butterfly effect and everything's connected electrically and chemically, and chemicals are electrical, and et cetera, et cetera. How are you, explorist? Oh, a new drug combination shrunk the tumor before chemo? That's pretty interesting. Love is all chemical, but you feel like you chose it. So, can you choose to stimulate those love chemicals in your brain to make it, to trick yourself into falling in love again? I'm definitely a little scientifically inclined. A lot scientifically inclined. I love math. I love science. Can't you tell by my glasses? You're funny, Monkey Times. Well, you might be right. Be back later, but I don't think that everything. Well, to me, the difference of free will is fate, or not. It goes beyond fate. The difference between free will is determinism. Like, everything is determined for you before you were even born, so you have no choices. I think there has to be a little bit of both. I think that actually, if you go with like string theory, everything actually energy, well, no, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. However, it can change form. And so back to string theory. String theory is like the idea that everything actually exists, all the possibilities kind of exist as they are, and then but when you make a choice, you narrow your choice, you narrow the possibilities. So if you choose to, you can choose to go right, you can choose to go left, but if you go right, until you make that choice, all of those possibilities exist of whatever your choices are, but then once you choose something, then you limit your choices. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure book. Or this space and time you came into existence, that's true. However, you are faced with choices every day. Be back later. Are you saying that we are only believe that we're faced with choices and all of the choices that we make are already decided, that we have no choice? That's the difference. I don't think that everything is already decided in our life. I mean, it's a very different explanation of string theory than you know about. That's what I've heard a little bit about string theory, is like everything exists simultaneously. You say a choice is a result of your chemical makeup, which is created at the time of your entry into this world. If you believe that you're actually even entered into this world, I mean, it's, yes, thank you, Grizzly Ray, you explained it much better. Your wave function collapses at a particular moment. You collapse your function into the present out of an infinite number of futures. Thank you. Grizzly Ray said it's exactly right. Oh, have fun, Scro. well, not necessarily someone pre-exists to decide it, but all of those chemicals pre-exist to decide it, I suppose. The root cause of cancer. That looks kind of interesting, Earth Sky. Oh, goodness. All right, got it. I agree. I don't believe in predetermination. I believe in thank you. Yes, the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, and I do believe that there are many worlds. I believe that. Thank you, Grizzly Ray. You just said it a lot more concisely than I could say it. Yes, you create it as you grow. The first law of thermodynamics results in not without some kind of creator or seeder. I suppose you're right, or a carrier. I mean, energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it does transform. But the process through what it transforms is kind of, it's based on the other chemicals and time and space around it. However, if you think if nothing, how do you get any mass or energy if nothing inertially inserted it? But I would say that the universe is yeah, I think the universe is constantly expanding at this point. I think eventually it will constantly collapse, but then expand again and then collapse again. I personally think of it as a heartbeat, but that's just how I think of it. And I think that I would say that people want to believe in a creator, Grizzly Ray, because it kind of goes back to some people believe in blame shifting. So if there's not a creator, then am I to blame for everything that's happened to me? And for some people that can be overwhelming. Happy Pi Day, by the way. The belief, that's a lot of people do tend to believe that transgender. Now, I did hear, I think you are off. I always thought it was 3.14527, but maybe I'm off. I think some people need something to believe in, and some people need someone to blame. So a new procedure allows kidney transplants from any donor. Interesting. Does the universe have a will? I think that's a question that's one of those theoretical questions. I can't prove it, so it's a good question to ask, but I'm not necessarily going to dive into that. Whatever I say as an answer to that question is only my belief, and I don't want to impose my belief on your belief. Yeah, exactly. How the universe was created is never going to be proven. Happened too long ago. But people care about them, Grizzly Ray. You believe in high probabilities and physics. That's good. Oh, I don't want to see it scroll. Thank you. Oh, interesting, cats. What is the purpose of everything alive on Earth then, Super Dave? You're not saying there's a purpose. I think what you mean to say is that everything on Earth continues to grow and allows other things around them to grow. But that's not even the truth either, because there are animals that eat other animals. So I don't understand, what's the purpose for everything alive? If you say there's a purpose for everything alive, I personally think that humans are the one entity, the one thing that's alive. But of course, it's only because I can't speak the language of other animals. But humans are the only ones alive that actually seek to have a purpose. Whereas the other animals alive or other living things exist and don't necessarily, they don't seek to have a purpose. Humans do tend to, you think humans destroy everything, but I would say humans sometimes create things as well. So I'm not totally in agreement with that. Yes, at this point in time, the universe is expanding. At some future point in time, the universe may be contracting. Yeah, maybe I should go find my porpoise. Well, I mean, Super Dave, you currently are typing on a computer that someone invented, someone created, and even though it's artificial because it didn't come from a living thing, I mean, that's creation. And I think that that's actually, it's amazing that you're able to communicate with me and I'm able to communicate with you, and we aren't in front of each other. That's pretty amazing. And I think that there's no other living thing on this planet that was capable of doing it. And I don't want to be God just because I think it's great that people create these things. That doesn't make us gods, nor shall we be. Well, it has value because people believe it has value. It goes back to what people believe, Grizzly Ray. I mean, people decide that it has value because they can easily use it to exchange for things, goods and services that they want. That is why money has value, because people believe in it. It's all about the full faith and credits of the governments. I mean, that's what our monetary system's based on. It's not based on anything physical or tangible or real. It's just based on the full faith and credit of the government. And and it's a full faith in what people believe. If people just suddenly woke up one day and decided, oh, money's worthless, I'm not going to go work for this paper, this linen, cotton stuff, whatever, then they wouldn't do it. There wouldn't be a monetary system like exists today.
Now what this has value. And we have a country with beautiful, beautiful water, streams, great forests, but we aren't protecting it, and we're losing the value of our country by allowing these people that have placed the value of money, the Federal Reserve, to control the destiny of our country. So if we want to protect this, we better get them out of the picture, because they care only about profit. They don't care about building up a sustainable planet for all of us to live into the future. These people, the money mongers, actually are trying a big move to control all currency and eventually the value that we so dearly hold in America. So we have a real challenge ahead, folks. It's serious, because they put their talons deep into our political system and they control it. To many of you, hey, Sir Waffles, hello, welcome. To many of you, it's just a given that you got to have money to be a politician. Well, ironically, I was telling Sarah this week, that politics was designed to be separated from money. It was designed for the people to decide what is good for them apart from money. So we've been very confused as a country. We've attached politics and money and fused them at the hip. And we need to separate that. And the only way we can is to build a third party and challenge these two parties simply by using word of mouth, because they control the media. They control all aspects of gateways to getting people to hear stories and messages. It's serious. Yeah. Virginia passes a medical marijuana bill to allow for production of oils. Well, that's a big step. Virginia took a big step there toward the past. Back in the day, cannabis was everywhere.
Especially in Virginia.
Especially in Virginia, yeah.
Thomas Jefferson was growing hemp in his garden.
Well, no, we don't accept this, Spectra. That's the point. I don't accept it. I don't accept that money and politics are tied at the hip. Not at all. I don't believe that in 1 second. In fact, I predicate this entire show on the idea we can stop this. We can do this together. And if we all believe in ourselves, we can make this happen. So I definitely encourage people like Sarah to be positive. You should all be positive. But bear in mind, there's a lot of negativity to pile through. We can't just ignore what's really going on here.
Like, I was really trying to say, I was really trying to say, if you create a picture of the future, your goal, your vision, then it doesn't matter what stands in your way. I don't care if you have a negative attitude or positive attitude. It's not about being negative or positive. It's about reaching that goal.
Right. Keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward.
I like
I don't
that. Yeah.
care
That's true. That's good.
How negative you are, as long as you're continuing to move toward it.
Yeah, move toward wherever you're headed. Right.
But I tell you, I don't enjoy it unless it's positive.
Yeah, who does enjoy a lot of things, though, in life,
I tend to enjoy my life.
No, but who enjoys a lot of things? There's a lot of things in life that are not that enjoyable, There's a tremendous void out there for a lot of people. Why do people come in here and watch our show? They're missing that component that they're not enjoying in their own personal life. That intellectual conversation or whatever. But there's nothing great all the time. You have to accept the fact that we've got what we've got, and let's make it work. But obviously,
well, I do that daily.
Yeah, so do I. I would love to walk out in my front yard and not have diesel trucks go back and forth, blowing diesel in my face. On a beautiful island where I live in the Pacific Northwest, I would expect cleaner air and cleaner water, but I can't expect these people to not drive their diesel trucks. That's their home, that's their infrastructure, that's what they rely on. But when Bernie Sanders said that he wanted to get rid of trucks, that was like unbelievable. He made a comment to that effect in a speech, and it was kind of weird. All right, we played that earlier. Oh, photos from inside the planes. Yeah, thanks. Scissor Fight used to work on planes, and he worked with the chemtrails themselves. And one time he asked one of the guys, "What's in these canisters?"
I'm glad to hear that, transgender.
And the guy said, "Do you want to lose your job? Don't ask questions like that." Wow. Okay. Anyway, I definitely support positivity of any kind, but I'm also, Conspiracy Monday is predicated on the righting the wrongs, correcting the bad things. So yeah, if we can move forward in any way, that's great. This is the blast area. This is where they blow it out of the bottom. These are the photos this person received. Here's the tanks as they're loaded up, ready to go for deployment. Yeah, there you go. So they got all these tanks filled with toxins, carcinogens, sulfates, lithium, barium, aluminum, and they want to dump them right on you. Because in their mind, they're somehow helping the atmosphere by making it more polluted. Now, could we live in a more convoluted world if we tried, where they want to achieve war, or rather peace through war? It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. By the way, Putin is pulling his troops out of Syria. He's so confident with what has happened so far that he's going to go ahead and pull back out of Syria, and he managed to regain control over 400 regions, populated regions in Syria, and now they're pulling out. They're pretty much done. And I think that's great, and if the rebels continue to push in and break through and create more violence in Syria and start more wars against the power of Bashar al-Assad, the rebels, the U.S.-led rebels, will be facing another round of Russia. Now, if this isn't Putin saying, hey, I have done what I have to do, and this is done. We move on now. That's the best way you could describe what he's just doing right now. So these are the sprays and these are the nozzles. And they keep them clean. Isn't that nice? Yeah, so I guess they have to make sure they're all cleaned up. That's great picture library. Thank you.
I'd say transgender David completely agrees with your cat's tail. Wait, no. Transgender David agrees with your...
Yes, it's a compressed aerosol is what it is.
Your last statement. Your two previous statements. Like, who could deny that there are chemtrails?
Oh, how could you possibly? Yeah, at this point, there's ample evidence that this is going on. And when I show you videos, I don't need to show you the picture of a nozzle off the back of a plane. I can show you the actual chemtrails. And we're seeing ones that are dropping now with a... well, we've had pictures earlier of it was black soot being dropped. Oh, that was David Bowie, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, they drop black soot and then they lay a bed of white chemtrail right in the same run. So they go through, they lay black. We were showing this earlier, you wouldn't believe it.
Mm.
I could pull it up off memory. Let me see if I can pull it out of memory.
Well, a lot of people end
weird.
up feeling the way you do, be back later, but David would say that there's a lot of people who care.
Yeah. Well, we definitely are on a pathway of revealing.
And we should enjoy our life, not just think that we're all gonna die. We should think about
black
enjoying our
chemtrails.
life.
Have you seen these yet?
Yeah.
They're a little weird. They're perfectly straight. They're literally like a black chemtrail, and then
I was telling this guy from Japan last night. He said that he didn't think Fukushima was in any way a danger because it was, with the dispersal rate, the radiation is not going to affect anybody. And he's of the belief that, we're wacky if we think that radiation from Fukushima would affect the ocean. And I said, well, hey, just enjoy the rest of your life while you cook. So, I mean, if you enjoy the slow boil of the frog, then enjoy your life. The frog must have had a good time in the bowl before he, ended up croaking, slowly boiling. Salty Dog has a Brazilian ban, and Flea Market Mutt has a patent for an aerosol spray can. Stratospheric Welsbach seeding for reduction of global warming. Yeah, see, this has been their plan all along, that they've been trying to reduce global warming by doing the unthinkable, put more and more carbon into the atmosphere, and in this case, sulfates, because they found a way of creating a dispersal effect. They felt that they had a global warming problem 10 years ago, not recognizing that the Earth and the Sun and the Moon and the Milky Way were all changing galactic alignment, and we were entering an ice age. Predictably, every 25,000 years, we're heading into an ice age, and this is the beginning of an ice age right now. So here they are trying to cool.
It should be.
It should be. Here they are cooling the planet off while we're heading into an ice age, thinking they're putting more carbon in the atmosphere, when in fact it's creating a larger ozone depletion area, which means greater cancer from UVC and UVB rays. And they're working the opposite of what they should be doing. They should be sequestering carbon, filtering the air, and producing more oxygen with more plant life.
So have you gotten what is that measurement of radiation?
There's a couple different radiation measurements, CPMs, and there's also one. They're just different measurements that they use.
Measurements of
sieverts. Levels of sieverts have been
but it's a certain
spiking.
Device that they use.
Geiger counter.
Do you have a Geiger counter transcender?
Do you have a Geiger counter transcender?
Because he says that he lives in Japan and he believes in ozone depletion. He believes in chemtrails, but he says that the actual radiation in Japan is not as not like what you're claiming it is. Other than maybe 1 kilometer from Fukushima.
Yeah, the dispersal rate, the man said, and he was living in Japan, he says, if you think that You amaze me, he said, you Americans who eat such horrible food. And I'm thinking, oh, like what? Horrible food, okay. Maybe GMOs, you're right about that. But he says, it amazes me how you are so concerned about the radiation when it's dispersed so quickly in the ocean. He has no concern whatsoever about the Sieverts levels that have been experienced even on the Pacific coast. We're seeing high levels of radiation that's killing the intertidal zones, literally. And he just is absolutely convinced it's just not happening. So you got that mentality versus this mentality. It's a real big contrast.
So, but you're saying you're not seeing that transgender in Japan? You're saying Sieverts are facts, but you don't believe them? You know them? No. You're saying, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that radiation outside, you just said radiation is not an issue outside 1 kilometer away from Fukushima?
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes I think you might be right. Be back later. I don't have a Geiger counter in my preps. Okay, you said you don't believe them. Oh. So you're saying you know that there is radiation 1 kilometer away from Fukushima. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, there
Can
is.
you rephrase that?
You know,
instead of what you don't believe into what you do know.
Yeah.
In this complete sentence.
Please rephrase that.
With the word Fukushima in it and the word radiation in that sentence.
I get a certain kind of seaweed. I get a product called Dulce, which is made in Grand Manan up in New Brunswick. It's an Atlantic seaweed that is the highest level of iodine of all seaweeds across the globe. And we eat that on a regular basis. I urge Sarah to eat it whenever she can. It sits in the kitchen. I don't know if she is eating it, but I eat it a lot. And
Fortunately, David eats it a lot. That's all that matters.
well, for me, that's what matters. But the connection between seaweed, and I specifically East Coast seaweed, is if I ate Pacific seaweed, I would, in my mind, think I'm eating contaminated seaweed. So it's just easier for me to eat East Coast Atlantic seaweed because there is no major nuclear attack or breach going on in the Atlantic Ocean yet, to our knowledge. Could be in New York, though. There could be some leaching up there.
Why? Be back later. What's the issue with that?
Yes, it's from Nova Scotia. It's right near Grand Manan, above New Brunswick. It's beautiful waters up there. They grow it naturally, and they pull it up, and they dry it. And we bought 2 pounds of it. And it's still sitting in the closet because I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, I need to go eat some more.
I also made some chicken and potato, but if you had dinner already, I understand.
I had a burger.
Okay. Well, if you're hungry for anything,
like I
there's...
had the other day.
Oh, cool. Good. You enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Cool. That's a great place. I didn't realize that Jack in the Box was so... There's that great hair. Thank you. Her hair looks so wonderful. Yes,
Cool,
I know. This is a jet flying over our head right now in our area. It's probably an F-18, and it flies over doing testing missions. They work out of the northwest here. There's a naval air station out here that has these jets flying over. About every 15-20 minutes, we have a jet. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Be back later. I take it this is before it was cooked, though, right?
I'd move too, but Sarah likes her job, and I like living around the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm addicted to the beauty. My thing is, I'm willing to live anywhere as long as it's beautiful. And
anywhere that's close enough for me to go to my job is still going to get flyovers.
We don't have tattoos. We don't believe in it. We're not a tattoo couple. Thank you, though.
Dave is anti-tattoo. I mean, you can do whatever you want
Yeah,
with your own body.
absolutely.
But Dave is not a
Yeah, I'm not
tattoo
into
fan.
tattoo things. So we've got big time. David Keith is
They used to dump a lot more
Jet fuel?
Jet fuel.
Oh, yeah.
But now they have these pretty cool, pretty cool screens inside their tank. So they're landing. And just slowly goes for, anyways.
Thinking, I've worked on this topic on and off, but not so much.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, yeah. Exactly.
Nice engineering, I think.
Very nice. This is the guy that is the renowned expert that the elitists listen to. And he basically is promoting his idea that by putting all these aerosol chemicals in the atmosphere, they're somehow going to levitate the carbon into the mesosphere, above the ionosphere.
Technically, and I was actually lying in bed thinking one night, and I thought about this child's toy, which is hence the title of my talk, and I wondered if you could use the same physics that makes that thing spin around in the child's radiometer to levitate particles into the upper atmosphere and make them stay there. One of the problems with sulfates is they fall out quickly. The other problem is they're right in the ozone layer, and I prefer them above the ozone layer. And it turns out, I woke up the next morning and I started to calculate this, and it was very hard to calculate from first principles. I was stumped. But then it found out that there were all sorts of papers already published that address this topic because it happens already in the natural atmosphere. So it seems there are already fine particles that are levitated up to what we call the mesosphere, about 100 kilometers up, that already have this effect. I'll tell you very quickly how the effect works. There are a lot of fun complexities I'd love to spend the whole evening on, but I won't. But let's say you have sunlight hitting some particle and it's unevenly heated. So the side facing the sun is warmer, the side away cooler. Gas molecules that bounce off the warm side bounce away with some extra velocity because it's warm. And so you see a net force away from the sun. That's called the photophoretic force. There are a bunch of other versions of it that I and some collaborators have thought about how to exploit. And of course, we may be wrong. This hasn't all been peer reviewed. We're in the middle of thinking about it, but so far it seems good. But it looks like we could achieve long atmospheric lifetimes, much longer than before, because they're levitated. We could move things out of the stratosphere into the mesosphere, in principle solving the ozone problem. I'm sure there will be other problems that arise. And finally, we could make the particles migrate to over the poles, so we could arrange the climate engineering so it really focused on the poles, which would have minimal bad impacts in the middle of the planet where we live, and do the maximum job of what we might need to do, which is cooling the poles in case of planetary emergency, if you like. So this is a new idea that's crept up that may be essentially a cleverer idea than putting sulfates in. Whether this idea is right or some other idea is right, I think it's almost certain that we will eventually think of cleverer things to do than just putting sulfur in. That if engineers and scientists...
Okay. So we're going to hear clever things to do besides just putting sulfur in the atmosphere.
That's why they have to use the two jets now. One with the black sulfur, right, and then one with some kind of chemical that they mix with the sulfur that will push it up into the mesosphere.
I agree with Cat's Tail on this one. Cat's Tail says, I judge this guy to be a retard, delusional academic tard, he called it. I agree with that, Katz. I do. Yeah. It just occurred to me that they're playing God, and it's crazy to think that by putting more aerosol sulfates in the atmosphere, he's going to help the problem. In reality, it's creating a larger ozone depletion area, dangerous UV rays, so they're having to put more and more in. It's a vicious circle. They're putting more and more in to cover the areas where the sun's coming through. So you're wondering why your sunny moment during the day in some areas like where we are lasts 20 minutes. We get 20 minutes of sun in our area now, every day. That's it.
I think you're right, Transcender.
And then at a certain hour, it because the chemicals are in the atmosphere so heavily, regardless of whether we agree or disagree on contrails or chemtrails, the chemicals act like a switch and it turns the rain right on. These are using silver iodide. It grabs water, and you know how silver is in activated charcoal filters, because it grabs water and it sucks everything around it toward the center of the silver particles, silver iodide. And that's what's happening in the atmosphere. So our area is getting really 3 times more water than it needs, and California is getting dehydrated over the entire year. We're getting more rain than ever before in the Washington, Oregon area, especially above Oregon. British Columbia, that area. Yeah, and mercury is in the fish, it's proven, right? So when are the two parties going to step up and solve the environmental crisis? Because if we go in the same trajectory we're on with the two parties right now, this is the future, regardless. It will be similar to this. And this is not what I hope for this country. This great country is what I want this. I want to manufacture fresh water. I want to make sure we have forests that are standing and they aren't overly depleted. So, I mean, how do you get this entire industrial machine to stop and then turn around and go in a different direction? That's what this political movement is about. It's slowly waking up the two-party people that are voting two parties to the reality that they're not helping. The Democrats aren't solving with the environment, and they're only catering to monetary elitists. The Republicans aren't solving the problem by giving all their benefits to big corporations who care only about profits, so they're not solving the problem with even growth in American jobs. Because those companies will outsource quicker than they'll hire you to work in America. So yeah, we're right at a crossroads in this country right now, in my opinion. Okay, man who's charged stage at Trump rally is an actor. Oh, really? Okay. Oh. This is coming from the Dabu 7 shill channel? Yeah, I don't think so, Lion of Judah. Thanks anyway. Yeah, these paid fearmongers on the internet, they're making a lot of money because the government wants to freak people out. They want to make people disbelieve everything. So if you disbelieve everything, you're never going to believe the truth, right? So that's essentially what they're up to. Don't X out of that. What's that one? Oh, this is the one about the Rothschilds. You can X out of that. Yeah, we talked about that. The idea that false flags are occurring left and right.
Yeah, X out of that.
No, leave that. I want to copy that video. Yeah, that one you can X out of, for sure. So they literally want to herd us into both parties, making us think we're making a choice. It's just like handing us instead of food, a nipple. What are those things that the kids suck on? Pacifier. It's like our vote becomes a pacifier. So we think that we're voting for change when we're not voting for anything. That's my point all along. Yes, droughts in California because of this. That's right, Grizzly Ray. That's right. You're off. Have a good one. Be back later. Thanks a lot. Take care, man. Chemtrail aerosols and 1,020 megabyte high pressure stop rain chance in Southern California. There you go. Sister Fight has another link. Sarah's getting rid of links and I'm adding links. Let's see what this is. Oh, okay. Here's a story of hope, positivity. Isn't this good? Mm-hmm. This homeless man handed out resumes instead of begging for money, and he landed a job as a porno star. No, I'm just kidding. Michael Merton noticed Callison while shopping with his family on February 24th. Accustomed to seeing homeless people ask for food or money, Martine found it refreshing to witness someone making an effort to find work despite difficult circumstances. He noticed that Callison was sitting on a sleeping bag with multiple resumes neatly laid out, along with a sign that read, "Need work and food." When I asked if I could see his resume, he hopped right up to hand me one and then started telling me about his experience as if it were an interview. And Martine told Today that I've been in situations where I had nothing and had to bust my butt to get work, and there he was doing that. And so I have a lot of respect for him. Martine bought him a jug of water and some raviolis and then took a picture of his resume to post on Facebook, and not knowing if anything would come of it. Sure enough, someone came across his post and offered Callison a job as a cook in the downtown restaurant called Pizza Rocks. Cool. Right on.
That's cool.
That is a good story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Ace Dace. I agree. Amazing what you can do when you actually get up and get a job, look for work.
Yeah, and we need to have more opportunities like that. You know, I love the fast food industry. It's still something that really needs a little help right now. You know, people say bad things about the fast food industry. It's like, you know, they're delivering jobs and a lot of potential, simple solutions for families. I mean, I was surprised how great it felt to go out and have somebody else cook for me. It really, normally I cook, and it was like just having a burger at Jack in the Box. Yeah. In honor of Jacques Fresco's birthday. He turned 100, by the way. So we went out to Jack in the Box to celebrate. Jacques Fresco is the futurist that that is renowned for his great concepts of working with the environment and building new technologies that make our life easier, freeing up our daily life from drudgery to enjoyment and fulfillment. Some of you like to play games. Some of you like to be gamers. Some of you would probably like to engineer games if you had more time.
Can you post it again, Super Dave?
So many people want to, pursue their dreams. My concept is to take, with a new party behind us, we could take and begin to break up certain monopolies that are not sharing the wealth, like Google. Like Google is using a lot of their potential. They could easily distribute 10 jobs to the 1 jobs that they offer right now at their Google headquarters. They could offer 10 jobs at $36,000 versus 1 for $360,000. So, I mean, we need to open that up to more opportunity. And the fact that they don't do that shows to me that they're colluding and they're purposely keeping their numbers down. They don't want people involved in their operation. It's not like the original intent of do no evil, where Google became a household word because it's shared knowledge. I love Google, don't get me wrong, but I want to make sure that they share the opportunity for all of you. I know Google is Department of Defense. That's why we need to start taking down monopolies. We don't need them running our Department of Defense. DoD operations now being run by Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google. I mean, this is ridiculous. We need accountability, and we're not going to get that unless we go after the monopoly known as Google. Halliburton, has a huge control over, we don't necessarily have to, break up a company like Halliburton. We just have to underfund certain ridiculous operations. What they do is they get contract control and they use power and influence to hold on to that contract control. That's the real danger with companies in the defense industry. Get a hold of the contract control, interrupt the process of contract renewals, and then you've got much more accountability over big companies like Halliburton. Halliburton is actually firing people right now. I heard that they're running into some cost overruns, especially with the oil industry collapsing. So yeah, there's a lot of problems going on. With the low price of gas we get at the pump, we're also seeing the infrastructure start to feel the pressure of functioning at a low profit, which is difficult for the oil industry. I don't have no sympathies for the oil industry, but it's not something they're used to. Now, state of Connecticut workers, remember I told you how Connecticut or others, New York, and these states are starting to collapse under the pressure. Layoffs coming on the heels of Connecticut's laws and budgetary constraints. Warning notices to 45,000 state of Connecticut workers with a state budget deficit that may be as high as $266 million this year. He's starting to lay people off, Malloy is. He would have saved a lot of money if he'd just gone ahead and executed those criminals on death row. He has to pay for their daily lodging. All these people that he purposely wants to warehouse instead of actually execute. Malloy is the guy that went ahead and reversed his position on the death penalty this past year. Dave, when do you think the crash and bankruptcy will come so that the U.S. will be rebranded under another corporation title and bought out again by another charter? Grizzly, it's unlikely that the crash will come at this point. The only crash that's coming is you crashing into the bushes when you get so drunk because you lost your job. Yeah, that's the crash that's coming. And we're all going to feel the pinch, but the elitists will not, and the government continues to print up money. They're not likely to feel the pinch. It's the disconnect between the population that you're feeling the crash in your personal life. In case you're wondering when it's going to come, it's been coming for some time now. So I don't believe that the big crash is imminent. I'm beginning to realize that the power of printed money has far greater effect over our operational ability as a nation. So it doesn't surprise me that silver is hovering at 15.29, gold at 12.29. Gold's made a little climb, but not much, no more than $50 per ounce. And then the Dow Jones still hovering right around 17,229. Amazing. Now, this story about chemtrail aerosols I'll play a little bit later. I'll be back. Use the restroom.
This is pretty cool. When was this written? In 2013? The 9 positive things that we could achieve. That's pretty cool. Evacuated tube transport technology. Like they're talking about the like Elon Musk is talking about. Alright. That would be cool. High-tech and high-performance electric cars. Like Tesla Motors. Again, Elon Musk. Vertical farming, the solution for tomorrow. Yes, that's very cool. Oh, that's a cool picture. There's no need to use chemicals because the vegetables grow in a controlled environment. Replacing the GMO and chemical sprayed food with organic. Talks about how to produce 1 million pounds of organic food on 3 acres in the heart of a crowded city. Wow, that sounds cool. A food revolution in Milwaukee and growing power, a model for urban agriculture. Sounds fun. The Farmery, a futuristic concept of sustain. I should show you guys all this. This sounds very cool. It was, of course, written a while ago. When was it written? This was first written in 2013, but I think it still is relevant today. Wow. Thanks to, I think Flea Market gave us this. The Mind Unleashed, 9 things we can accomplish if we redirected our resources from war. And it has a picture here, and it talks about, it has a Buckminster Fuller quote on this website. So it says, Buckminster Fuller says, it's now highly feasible to take care of everybody on Earth at a higher standard of living than any have ever known. It no longer has to be you or me. Selfishness is unnecessary. War is obsolete. It is a matter of converting the high technology from weaponry to livingry. That's by Buckminster Fuller. He talks about the military expenditures for 2011, the defense budget for 2012, etc., etc. So now then they talk about possibilities. What could we do instead of spending so much money on war? We could have the evacuated tube transport technology, or basically like the high-speed rail. It's kind of like the high-speed rails, but the super tunnels that the tube rail basically that Elon Musk was talking about. Here's some ideas for how that could happen. High-tech and high-performance electric cars. Well, fortunately, we have that, like Tesla Motors. Now it's about making them cheaper so that they're affordable to more people. We can do that. Vertical farming, the solution for tomorrow. They could even grow them in big areas, so vertically farming things. Replacing the genetically modified and chemically sprayed food with organic food. It's possible. They talk about growing power is how to produce 1 million pounds of organic food on 3 acres in the heart of a crowded city. I bet you need some worms for that. They talk about the Farmery is a futuristic concept of sustainable organic agriculture for your local grocery store. So this guy, Ben Green, its inventor, perfected the process of food growth and distribution. The simple and clever idea: grow and sell in the same place. The food has to be first harvested, packed, transported, cooled, And so all that time when they're taking it from farm to market, there's a huge cost loss because a lot of the food goes bad in the process. What if you could actually grow the food at the same place you buy the food? Fantastic idea. So if you can't take the people to the farm, bring the farm to the people. Free, unlimited clean energy. So here's some people that have a video on this. Lightworks AV has some. Keshi Foundation has some. Reintegrating homeless people. The United States in 2013 had an estimated 3.5 million homeless people. Building minimum comfort apartment blocks for those who lost their homes should cost no more than $50 billion, according to this site. They have all this, etc., etc. Eradicating world hunger and replacing the hazardous nuclear power plants with the green solar panels, and also they could even have concentrated solar panels as well. All right, I missed a lot of your chat, but I think that was pretty cool. I'm going to leave that. You would go twice to conserve water, something. Common sense? I don't know if it's all common sense. If it was common sense, Puff, wouldn't we all be doing it all right now if it was completely common sense? That's what I would say. I think that some things you think are common sense, but it's all about the implementation. That might be true, Creeks. Well, I don't think anything is free. I think it could be that you invest some sweat equity into building up a home. It would be awesome if we had land to allow you to build a home. You're probably right, Grizzly Ray. It does have some carbon in there, so I guess you could call it organic that way. But everything else, you guys are right. Chemtrails will never let anything be organic ever again.
Yeah, really.
Unless it was grown in a totally enclosed environment like those vertical farms.
There are some places, in Israel, they were growing all kinds of stuff in the West Bank. In the West Bank, inside greenhouses, there were no weeds in anything. Mm-hmm. The West Bank had this operation, the amazing greenhouse operation in Israel, and then Israel gave the West Bank over to the Palestinians, and all these greenhouses were shut down. Yeah, completely. They destroyed all of the greenhouses that they had that are protected from the atmosphere and from weeds. Weed-free gardening without pesticides. So they've mastered the technique of growing things without pesticides and herbicides, yet the government refuses to integrate these organic techniques and continues to side with big business, Monsanto and Dow.
Well, it's amazing if our military already does it, Grizzly Ray. All right.
Thanks for coming in.
Fine? Is that good enough?
Yep, you're good. Thank you. And I will be on for another 15 minutes, and then we'll go to our video segment, and Sarah and I can sit and Netflix and chill.
Chill together.
Yes, we need to spend some debriefing, enjoying time just watching a show. I drink coffee that's made out of traditional ingredients. I'm not sure if it's organic. At this point, I've got the worst possible coffee mixed with the best possible coffee, so I've got mediocre coffee. I picked up a can of 3 pounds for $3 a while back, and I ended up buying 3 cans, and it's just, I top it off with hazelnut, so it kind of dresses it up, but it's not the best coffee. Mm-hmm. Right, we're going to Netflix and chill too. We have some great opportunities to watch shows now with Netflix and Amazon, and some of you people get free Amazon when you have your Frontier account. They're offering like $19.99 and 1 year of free Amazon Prime. Thank you. Well said. Sarah is really a big help just to give me a 15-minute break here and there, and it's really beneficial. Okay, yeah. This replacing hazardous nuclear power plants with green solar panels would be wonderful. But with this air pollution that's been going on with the spraying of chemicals in the air from chemtrails, solar panels are becoming more useless. I mean, literally, we're fighting this graying of the skies everywhere. And yeah, you can get a little bit of energy out of the sun, but when it's all clouded over from these spraying nozzles that drop canisters of air pollution in the air. Yeah, see, these guys have really nice seats. They make a couple $100,000 a year. They're graduates from the Air Force Academy and the Chemtrail Division. There's no need to, worry about what's inside because they think they're helping the country. They're told that they're protecting the nation. They're told a couple different lies. They're told that this activity will prevent EMPs from attacking our country. So they're proud to drop these chemicals in the air for you to breathe. And they're also told that this is limiting greenhouse gas production by dumping chemicals in the air. Because of this theory I told you earlier about, this David Keith theory, that they're levitating this into the mesosphere and blah, 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 crap. Might as well just have the flushing toilet sound. So bringing our country to this level is going to take a political revolution. There's no way we're going to do it any other way. And it's kind of a green revolution, but it's not really green per se. I'm not a Green Party guy. I don't want to penalize industry. I actually want to just fix the problem. So if I spent my time penalizing industry, I'd be like Jimmy Carter. We're going to maintain a strong effort to put EPA pressure on industrial pollution. And you see how effective that was. Yeah. I did last after a Playboy magazine. That's about all we accomplished with that president. And then if we had Clinton as our president, oh my God, she wouldn't answer to anybody.
It is, what difference at this point does it make? What difference at this point does it make?
She'd be saying that about the environment. What difference at this point does it make that we clean up the environment? Well, yeah, the Green Party, they got a small contingency of people out there. We get their newsletter, actually. It's just a kind of a hope and a prayer newsletter. It's like, if only we just acted locally and thought globally, everything would be so much better. It's like, we're hoping Hillary does the right thing kind of party, God. I mean, so many Democrats, so many people even on the far left are just still hoping that Bernie's going to come in and help. And the ones on the far right are going, oh yeah, we definitely need to have a man like Trump who can, like Hitler, who can take over and dominate. And, I mean, the whole country is so confused, it's not even funny. Because we're occupying the space that nobody in the mainstream occupies. Simply talking about issues that are centrist in nature automatically puts us way ahead of the mainstream media. Simply bringing up these issues on a nightly basis helps. And for somebody to come in and say earlier that I shouldn't be talking about these wacky ideas, nobody's going to take you seriously. No, the people that are going to take us seriously are the ones that are actually part of this revolution. The morons, the traditional pundits of the past, no, they won't take me seriously. They won't at all. Anyway, let's change backgrounds because this is really kind of bumming me out. And we haven't played our Can't Stop the song. I mean, I can't believe I've lasted this long without playing Can't Stop. All right?
We can't stop and
Thank
we
you.
won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight.
Make. What difference at this point does it make?
We can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop.
So let's be clear. In this coming election year, please vote for David Sponheim. America's Third Party.
Sponheim for president.
We can't stop, we can't stop. can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. Can't stop, can't stop. Can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. Can't stop, can't stop.
First we hit 'em low, then we hit 'em high. Underrated, but we made it to the finish line. Rhymes designed to combine and intertwine. Spring to the summer, fall, even winter time. Beats banging harder, then head-on collisions. We make incisions with precision and quick decisions. Causing double visions if you ain't up to speed. You need to speed it up, partner. Keanu Reeves.
We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. Can't stop, can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop.
In this coming election year, please vote for David Sponheim. America's Third Party.
Can't stop, can't stop. Can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop. Can't stop, can't stop.
All right, cool. Yeah, let me just remind everybody that we're not planning on funding any of these new operations with any of your tax dollars. That we want to actually build a certain element of investment in America again, like FDR had the obvious WPP and or WPA and the CCC and all these organizations that started to help rebuild our economy. We don't want to just tax you to do that. Bernie wants to tax everybody to finance government jobs. He doesn't even know what that means. He wants to create a maglev rail, yet he wants to get rid of the American truck lines. He said earlier he wanted to get rid of truckers. So we don't want to in any way jeopardize our infrastructure. We want to build this slowly and have it gain traction in our economy with people talking about it and saying, yeah, well, let's invest in renewable energy savings bonds. It'll be a 10-year note guaranteeing 4% income, which for a lot of people is like money in the bank, considering they can't make more than 2% on most CD loans right now. So something like that, and I can't guarantee those numbers yet, but something like that would be ideal. And then we'd have enough money to start these plans to create local composting centers that handle hempoline, as well as cannabis retail outlets that we could offer legal marijuana across the nation, and private enterprise could be encouraged to increase as well. The infrastructure bank, 2% loans, could be a separate fund that not related to renewable energy savings bonds, but could come out of money that we pull out of the government waste, where I won't create any new programs until I can eliminate twice as much in the existing framework of money payouts by our government. Because obviously our government spends a lot of money that they don't need to spend on things that don't create any kind of traction in our economy. Waterboarding is something I do support on one time only, one pass only. It cannot be clearly stated that it's a violation of the Geneva Convention. If you can convince me that waterboarding is a direct form of torture, I would agree with you. But I have seen waterboarding done effectively on television. I've never seen it done in reality. Hello, Amanda T's here. Hi there. I've never seen a waterboarding operation done in reality, so I can't tell you if it's torture. But if it is a torture, then you're right. It might be a violation of the Geneva Convention. But one time of waterboarding is all that would be effective at all. I mean, the threat of waterboarding in and of itself is effective at getting people to speak the truth. So you're deciding what you're going to have on your cooking show? Okay. Yeah. You might want to go with seafood, possibly bay scallops in a fettuccine white sauce. I can make that for about $1 at the dollar store. I tried it one time. I got a package of dollar store bay scallops, and I made up some pasta for a dollar for a bag, and then I had a white sauce of ricotta cheese and yogurt and cream that I made from just, things in the refrigerator, and it was just great. Incredible. Yeah, and it's for under $3 for the cost of the ingredients, and you like blow people away. Got to put dill weed in though. Add dill weed, very important. Yeah, Doopster made a fettuccine shrimp dish for his entire family, and he spent like he bought a 45-pound bag of it was some ridiculous. It was like I think it said a 5-pound bag for or something like 20 pounds of shrimp for $40. It was some real good deal. So $5 a pound for shrimp is pretty good. Doopster is an amazing guy. He hangs out in our show late at night. He's an insomniac, ex-Marine, who spent a lot of time just dealing with the stress of coming back from 3 tours of duty overseas. And now he has his own car restoration business that he's doing really well. You buy those large pieces of Parmesan cheese, they last, oh, that's smart. Yeah, that's great for white sauces. Yeah. But whatever you want to make, maybe a Spanish dish or something. Yeah, okay, give this Food Network Hawaiian barbecue recipe a look over too. Let's take a look. Yeah, it is better than pre-grated. It's fresher, for sure. I love chicken and fruit. I really like that combination. And when I cook with anything, pork or beef, if you add lemon or lime, it's a salt replacement. So you can get the effect of having kind of a salty taste without having salt in your dish, excessive amounts of salt, I should say. But I love the fact that meat with enzymes, fruit enzymes, really help with marination as well as breaking down the protein in your body. Okay. 1 cup of pineapple juice. Yeah, that's good. Good marinade. 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Wow. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. That's a pretty salty recipe, but it looks really good. All right. So we talked a lot about conspiracies tonight. Yeah, but not really being able to fix any one problem. It's difficult to address the darkness beneath the scrim of government that we have in America. It's talking about it is one thing, but going out and really digging deep and to actually trying to make a difference, it's impossible. So I guess we're at the awareness stage right now, where we're becoming aware of certain things. The fact that our government is seemingly controlled by a large group of monetary interests, that's pretty much at the helm of my conspiracy theory. The fact that money buys politics, that's what we've been talking about mostly tonight. And that's why we don't see, our troops coming home, ending the Federal Reserve, or legalizing marijuana. Yeah, that's the thing. And cooking is such an enjoyment for me that I don't want to actually do a show where I cook, and then I have to eat too much. Like I made something today that Sarah didn't even have any interest in because she had lunch out. So yeah, Trump, it seems, is controlled by the Federal Reserve, the people that loan him money. Apparently they've made a lot of loans to Donald Trump in order to keep his businesses afloat. And therein lies the connection. The devil is in the details, and follow the money. So there you will find that he doesn't want to end the Fed, that he doesn't have any plans to end the Fed at all, and he doesn't have any plans to legalize marijuana either. So I'm talking about Jade Helm right now. Jade Helm is the plan that was put in place, and now there's another Jade operation coming out across the nation. But there's not a lot of news about it. What it is essentially is Jade 2.0, the artificial intelligence system that the government uses for military defense and protocols, has been designed to provide necessary maneuvering of ordnance and munitions to specified locations in preparations for martial law. Yeah, so you got that to look forward to, which is nice. Which makes for a happy conspiracy day. If you're on a weird kind of a bend where you're worried about military takeover of the country, but you don't have to think about that right now. Sarah, it didn't reject my food. She ate another burger somewhere else. My burger didn't cut it. My chicken baked. Actually, I made chicken thighs with baked potatoes on the stove on a very slow burner. And I love cooking with chicken thighs because you could put a little Italian seasoning on one side and then slap a little bit of, Mexican flavoring, taco sauce even on the other side, whatever. And put it skin side down on a little bit of oil and just cook the heck out of it. And then flip it once or twice and you've got yourself a really nice meal. And then I add the baked potatoes. I micro the potatoes ahead of time with a short micro, and then I set them in the bowl, and it's really good. And of course, you have to have some vegetables too, so maybe chopped salad or something. Great. I'm glad you know what's going on here. That's important. Eisenhower, JFK, no clue what they're talking about. Okay. Many Jade maneuvers, yes, indeed. Okay, Aloha Akbar, I'm going to purge you, but we're not here to talk about Trump. Unless you want to talk about his daughter and how she's had numerous facial reconstructive operations done. Anything like that, that sounds good. Yeah, Ivanka's had numerous facial reconstructive work done. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about her Jewish husband and how she's Jewish and the Zionists that are taking over the world? You'd like to talk about that? No? Okay. Chinese water torture was not the same thing, dude. Yeah, well, until you can prove to me that waterboarding is torture, I'm going to stand out on that one. Oh, I disagree. I think her previous look was phenomenal. I don't know how you prefer the sculpted Madonna look as opposed to the more natural. Okay, well, I guess there's no turning back. It's not like you can have that removed once it's done. So yeah, we love whoever she is, and we wish she and her husband a wonderful life. I have nothing against Jewish people. I think it's perfectly fine that they're Jewish. It's wonderful. Hello, green-eyed girl. Yes, they're well funded by foreigners and Arabs and Jews. Yeah, there you go. Got that covered. Personally, I don't have a personal relationship with people who want to commit terrorist acts against our country. That personal relationship is, coming from you, Cat's Tail, you want to kick ass and take numbers. And for you to be soft on waterboarding is almost, you've been playing me all along. You're really a closet communist, aren't you? I figured you were. If that's true, Amanda, it may be illegal in Virginia. Waterboarding porn, if that is true, that could be illegal in Virginia. There's a couple states ruling out the legality of any type of S&M and bondage porn. Some states are actually trying to outlaw sodomy. If you have sex in Michigan, anal or oral, you can serve up to 15 years in prison. Yeah. I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, the fact that they even have laws like this is amazing. A watchdog audit finds billions in wasted dollars in Obamacare fiasco. We've been telling you guys Obamacare is going to cost $1.5 trillion over 10 years. Here it is, right in front of us. Read them and weep. Watchdog audit finds billions in wasted dollars on Obamacare fiasco. Totally incompetent government let anyone sign up with no proof of anything. And that costs everybody, lots of money because we have to pay for a healthcare insurance plan for Ed. Now that Obamacare went through the Supreme Court, we have to pay for full insurance plans for homeless people like Ed. There is now yet another reason to be disgusted by the ongoing fiasco known as Obamacare. The problem stems from the inability of the system used by the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services to verify inconsistencies in the data it receives from 3 different agencies, IRS, DHS, and SSA, responsible for determining the eligibility of applicants under the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. Big bureaucracy taking over. The Democrats are so good at creating plans and unfunded mandates, and all they do is say, oh, well, we have to regulate this now. And of course, they hire more people to do that. Hey, aloha, man. This is the deal. We're not going to actually hurt snakes and rats and snails. We're going to fry anybody that crosses the border above 3 inches. The electric fence will start at 3 inches. So a snake and a rat and a snail will get underneath the electric fence safely. That's right. We'll give certain accommodations for small rodents, about a 3-inch barrier. Yep. And then above the 3 inches, it's Fry City. That's right. Aloha. Yes, we had Al's Snack Bar earlier. I can't believe I slipped past 9 o'clock and you didn't even tell me. Now this is an artistically generated conflict between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders at the coronary care unit. Get the paddles. Hopefully they'll get through this without having a coronary. David, your position on capital murder is clear. Yeah, if you touch the fence, you're guilty and should be capitally punished. Yeah. There'll be plenty of warning signs. In fact, we're willing to even plant rose bushes in advance of the fence. So imagine a large purchases of rose bushes so that we can have them grow naturally. They're drought resistant, and the thorns will just rip the crap out of anybody that gets near the fence. That'll save us on the cost of creating more jagged fence other than the 2 lanes of fence that we have currently. We're going to have a road going in between the fences so that we will provide an adequate space for an unmanned vehicle to travel with advanced sonar, radar, and X-ray technology that goes down into the ground about 200 feet, so that every day this stealth vehicle will be traveling hardly even noticeable on the road, and it will be checking to see if there's any tunneling operations. There's been over 164 tunneling operations in Nogales, New Mexico alone over the past 10 years. So yeah, they are tunneling. If Trump gets Florida and Ohio tomorrow is over, what? No, you gotta understand, I want Trump to take the Republican nomination. I think the Republicans are on their last leg. It'll take a guy like him to knock them to the final throes of the abyss that they're headed. Republicans have become a mixed party that's going to lose a lot of the voters because they just don't see a real way out with Trump. He's a divider, not a uniter. We're shooting for 4-foot depths. That's as far as we can dig it within. We're going to have to reach 50 mile per day goals of laying fence. Now that means I'm going to have a crew of about 200,000 workers on the border with Mexico. At any given time, we'll be working in teams, all working together and sleeping right there at the border in mobile FEMA trailers. And they'll be given big leather gloves or rubber gloves, and they'll have to take some large manacle units that actually manipulate metal fencing. And their job is basically to put tie downs everywhere. And these tie downs are about 9-10 inches long, up to 15 inches long. And they string across, and we're basically constructing poles. We're going to be digging a 4-foot ravine with tractors, and then dropping the fence into the ravine 12 feet high. So it'll be probably 16 feet in length. I'm envisioning 2 sets of 8-foot lengths, or possibly 10 and an 8-footer to combine. So like 20 feet high. And then the secondary fence comes in later. The initial fence is the first step, then the road, and then the UAV, the unmanned vehicles that could travel over the road. But the secondary fence is essential as well. And that could be just bales of rolled barbed wire. It doesn't have to be fencing per se. Well, the FEMA trailers are still available, Grizzly Ray. We just have to open the windows and air them out, but they're safe to be in right now. They've been around for 12 years. Laying landmines is not something I'd be in favor of. I don't want to see any landmines at this entire location at all. It goes against my love of Princess Di. I didn't love her in a sexual way, of course, but I loved her as a person, and I felt that her effort to stop the development of Claymore mines and the mining that's been going on in the world is really irreversible, and it's really something I have to be concerned about. Yeah, if he said it would be 50 foot tall, he's talking through his ass. You know, there's a cheaper alternative for the wall than fencing. And I would be remiss in telling you that I am considering cargo container walls because of the massive amount of cargo containers we have currently in America. Our ports are not doing as much travel, transport. Merchant vessels are loaded with these empty containers, so we could probably buy them pretty cheaply, about $2,000 a piece. So we can envision a wall similar to this right here. Let's see. That's not a good example. Yeah, typical cargo containers like this right here. Can be lined up concentrically 2 high or 3 high to create the wall. See? Yes. It is very easy to do this. Yeah. And that would make a formidable barrier, and we could put motion detectors in each one of these things. It wouldn't be that costly to do that. And if there's any motion whatsoever in any container, we'd have instantaneous knowledge as to where that breach was occurring. If somebody's trying to cut through a wall of a unit, we'd instantly know they were breaking through. Yes, you should spit and swallow. Really? Okay. Are you telling that to somebody in the room, or it's because you yourself are unable to properly communicate without vomiting? I have a dumb question. Why do we swallow fluoridated water if it's meant to be coating on our teeth only? Especially when fluoride lowers IQ in children. That's a very good question, Grizzly Ray. Thank you. Many people don't realize there's not a single piece of evidence that suggests that fluoride prevents cavities when it's in our water system. Oh, your voice to test was on? Okay, good. Thank you, Big Mama. Gee, we could use some bees to protect the wall. We can have, like I said, rose bushes and bees protecting the wall. Sure, killer bees. Why not? Okay, New York Viking has a picture of some waterboarding. We are going to see if it is ethical to comply with Geneva Convention rules. MMA trainer Ed Clay gets waterboarded. All right. Am I watching a snuff film or something? I mean, I don't think this is appropriate. All right. All right, let's see if it's appropriate for general audience. We'll see if that's the case. This is waterboarding. His hands are tied.
Are you ready to quit? Huh? You ready to quit? Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm sorry, I don't think this is torture. It's not going to happen. if Sarah were to leave our political movement and join Trump as his VP, it would be, I would probably grow tentacles and elevate to Andromeda and leave this planet. I mean, I'm not an alien, but that's how unlikely that is. The recommendation is 8 cups of water, 64 ounces. Yeah, that's a lot. That's 2.5 milligrams of fluoride per 8-ounce glass. The highest dose you could have is 10 milligrams. That's 64 ounces is double the 10 milligram safety recommendation for fluoride. Thank you, Grizzly Ray. Okay. I would never eliminate pork from diets in America. If you want to have pork, you should be able to order it on the menu. I'm not going to cater to Muslims. No. Sorry. Cat's tail, talking through your butt again. Come on. Here you came in here pretending to be Mr. Tough Guy, wanted to kick some ass, and now you're softy Mr. Communist Sympathizer. Aren't you special? Wow. Boy, we've seen a reversal of his position in one day. Now he's, water torture, it's killing people. You look I've seen people being tortured, unfortunately, in movies, fictionalized. I've never seen it in reality. But what I saw there with this guy, MMA trainer Ed Clay, getting waterboarded, is not torture, in my opinion. Torture is having your face completely altered because somebody said you needed to have a new nose job. Torture is having your body mutilated in order to look better. This would be torture for me to have my face turned into her face. Americans are superior. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Really? You're superior to what? Americans are like any other human on earth. We're all people that want to live in humble, equal status with the environment. We don't want to be destroyed by it. When you look at what's happening with the two parties, they're literally killing the environment, allowing chemtrails to fly overhead. My God, I couldn't make it any clearer for you. Putting together Jade Helm operations to position UN troops so that they can assimilate our nation. And you're going, well, maybe Hillary would be a good choice. Or some of you are going, yeah, Trump's going to really kick ass. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trump doesn't even have a dance gif. Come on. How many people have a dance gif? But yeah, let's just move on here. I can't believe you sneak past a full extended 30 minute beyond the 9 o'clock hour. I can't help it. No, Hollywood's not over-exaggerating. No. Look, torture is wrong. Okay? Flat out. Wrong. We shouldn't be sending people over with rendition like Barack Obama's been doing over the past 7 years. Whenever they need torture, they just send people to another country where they find it legal. That's called rendition. One of the common strains of all human beings is every human being, no matter what country you live in, believes you're the best. Introducing hybrid capitalism, where people can accept a little bit less if it means more people have more. Yeah. Hey, Randall. Every time you say that looking good, Dave, people say Randall's so gay. You may not want to say that anymore, man, because I'm not gay. The liberal media is going to continue to twist everything. They have the right. They've done it with Bush. They've done it, well, they haven't done it with Obama, but they've done it with everybody else. No, it's not. Actually, the idea is to basically look at every problem like, do we need more doctors making $600,000 a year? No. What if I offered $150,000 a year with full medical malpractice insurance covered? So that's what I'm talking about. A little less, but you get more. And that means you save money on your doctor's visit, and they aren't screwing you over so they can buy a brand new Lexus or whatever new car they're buying. Their Audi S5 that they want to buy this year. Okay, Caleb, you're reaching the point where you could be banned. You've already been on the edge of bad a couple nights in a row now. If we paid teachers $500,000 a year, we would already more than bankrupt our nation, because most of the money is coming from property taxes, and those are too high as it is. So there's no way we could pay teachers that much more. We can, however, cut back the number of administrators, thereby providing more teachers. So I support more teachers, less testing. That's my plan. You know, kind of like No Child Left Behind, but it's more teachers, less testing. That's the plan. You know, more teachers, less testing. I think everybody's going to love this. The teacher-to-student ratio will be improved, and everybody will be happy. Everything is beautiful in a perfect world. Yeah, so more teachers, less testing. That's our new plan. It was the incentive program, but we're going to be kind of modifying it. Go away, Dave. Go away, Dave. You Democrats don't have any new ideas, do you? You're just sitting there on the same old hashed out crap that Hillary Clinton keeps mouthing off from her speech writing. The people that throw speeches in front of her head. Yeah. No new ideas. Less testing, more teachers, less testing. No, I'm not on any kind of a drug regime whatsoever. I don't take drugs. I rarely take an aspirin. That would be the closest thing I'd get to a drug. I believe it's all natural. I believe legalization of marijuana would, an herb, would definitely lower people's use of big pharma medication. It will heal our country. Thank you. No, coca is not so natural, man. When you get done with the coca leaf, you got to mash it up. You got a lot of ingredients going into coca, man. By the time you snort that coke, it's probably cut with baby laxative and God knows what else. You are not eating natural coke, man. You are eating processed crap in your body. It's killing you, man. Take a look at my friend, Mr. Scarface, How'd you like that, huh? He wasn't exactly the fitting image of health, was he? Scarface. I mean, you look at him and he's like, come on, the guy was death warmed over. He had his head in the coke itself. Mr. Sosa. Don't ever screw me, Tony. Mr. Sosa, I'm not going to screw you, man. Don't ever screw me, Tony. Mr. Sosa. Well, you obviously have some mental health disorders, so why don't you ask your doctor for some support? That's what Mr. Scarface says. It's more teachers, less testing, okay? Say hello to my little test. Okay. Yeah, so cocaine is a drug, and they're finding that a lot of the big pharma companies are actually helping with methamphetamine production. I had a news story last week that was just shocking. Yes, see? Methamphetamine. Check this story out. This is a shocker. As if you didn't think it was getting any weirder. Pharmaceutical giants caught supplying cartels with tons of bulk ingredients to produce meth. News at 11. I'm going to the remote broadcast from the meth labs of big pharma companies to bring you Brian Williams. Go ahead, Brian. Well, Dave, we're here with the meth producers, and I'm being pursued by helicopters. The drug cartels are everywhere. Okay, check this out. Prosecutors in Belgium have recently announced the executives with pharmaceutical companies based in the country will be charged with knowingly providing drug cartels with prescription drugs that were used in manufacturing methamphetamine. For more information, dial 1-800-555-1212. Wow, that's really a trip. You want to get the link? I will give it to you now. Good job, sir. Thank you, Studio 51. You check it out right now, man. You'll be surprised. Do some more impersonations. Okay, let's do some more. Trumpty Dumpty wants to build a great wall. That's classic, Scissor Fight. You outdid yourself on that one, man. You're right. Adderall is meth. That's true. Good point. Let's not forget that, digital era. We're over farming our kids to big pharma. I think natural solutions are on the way. Help is on the way. No, don't worry about me, man. Trumpy Dumpty wants to build a great wall. That's so funny. Yeah, and he didn't get the whole fence memo that I sent out in the... Oh, by the way, I wanted to share it with everybody before the end of our show. This is special. America's Third Party is now... You're able to access the old website. This weekend, we put together a link to the old website on our main page. Yes. Richard Simmons is missing, by the way. Nobody's seen him anywhere. So there's a story about Richard Simmons that we talked about last week. Okay, this is not happening. Sorry, I went back to waterboarding for some reason. Okay, now we go back in. Okay, there we go. I had a little time to open up the site. This is the new site. It's still a printable, downloadable poster for only $1. You can print something like this. Color on cardstock. And put a little cardboard backing and some tape, and you got yourself a revolution in the back of your car. Or in your front door, wherever you want to post it. So, the site goes down here, and then we have now the old site right here. We got our platform, abbreviation of everything we stand for, and our old site clicks through now to another link to take you to our old site. So you can also go to our store, but this has all the basics of our platform, all the specifics, new ideas, everything that was on our old site that was hacked. And it also has a complete list of state laws circa 2012, which are still in order. So if you want to go in here and find out the state law in Kansas, click on Kansas. It'll tell you what is required. We need 1,000 signatures. And I have to file a $100 declaration of intent once I get 1,000 signatures. But the site still exists. Thank goodness. Sarah was able to save it. All right. And you can also still go to the store and, get the book and whatever. T-shirts. Anything you want to promote us with is great. I don't really want to go into detail on waterboarding, Cat's Tail. Ever since it became obvious to me that you weren't out for kicking ass and taking names, you turned into a left-winger. You came in the show as a right-wing, hardcore right-winger, and now you're a left-winger. So, I really don't want to pay you any more attention. I don't really know where you're coming from. Nope, we just simply want to do one waterboarding effect to make sure that, hear me out, guys, okay? I'm going to give you a real simple 1-minute encapsulated reason why we need to engage in one waterboarding. The scare value, that alone will get you truth. When somebody is afraid of waterboarding, they're going to tell you the truth in maybe 10% of the time, maybe 20%, but we're going to get some truth telling just from the mere fear of waterboarding. So that's got to play into your argument in some way. And it won't kill them. So it's been proven to not kill people. But why aren't you liberals worried about tasers and the deaths from tasers. I mean, that's way more serious. And all our law enforcement's the police state that Hillary and Barack Obama created. Why are you talking about the police state where you're fixating on waterboarding? Now you're pissing me off. Yeah, waterboarding is pretty lightweight when it comes to torture. Okay. Well, that's your problem, Caleb. You know, we don't support Marxism here, so I'm purging your statements. Thanks. That's like you supporting fascism and Trump. I mean, I'd purge your statements for that. Well, we talked a lot about tonight, and tonight is really wrapping it up with a video that we've been, keeping around for all of you to watch. The new black chemtrails, 15 minutes of this weird substance that is now being dispersed over the heavens above. Blessed you for coming in and hearing about all the toxins that the elitists are spraying on your head. Thank you so much for sharing. It was enjoyable to share these wonderful things with you. Yes. And now we take you to the black trails, chemtrails. Ooh, hang on, let me get this revved up for you. Let's definitely address the issue, because I'm very concerned about this kind of thing happening. Thank you, Caleb, for being a Marxist, but I'm not Marxist. Good night, David. I will enjoy the Netflix and the chemtrails. Thank you. Can't wait. I didn't even bring up the entire Obama story after I talked about it earlier. But this really is the telltale sign that Obama never went to Harvard and never was the president of the Harvard Law Review. This magazine featuring Magic Johnson appeared 1 year after Barack Obama allegedly was the president of the Harvard Law Review. It talks about an uncivil war at Harvard Law by John Sedgwick. It's all about minorities at Harvard Law. In the 10-page article, there's not one mention of Barack Obama. And it talks about all the minorities at Harvard Law 1 year after Barack Obama allegedly was the president of the Harvard Law. I say, boom. Excuse me. I say, boom. Thank you. All right, that was great. Always nice to have a moment reprieve. I have a great radio. Well, thank you, Green-Eyed Girl. I used to be a radio personality. I can't tell you who I was because it would divulge the truth about my radio identity. I'm maintaining my significant hidden profile by not revealing who I really am. I'm David Sponheim. I'm not Enzyte, no. Somebody said I was like the Enzyte guy. Yeah. There's a very strong similarity. I'm not going to deny that. I mean, the look between him and I is rather uncanny. I sound like him. I know. Isn't that amazing? But he's serving double nickels at a major prison. And I'm here. Yeah. The Enzyte guy. Here he is, Smiling Bob. I will admit there is a strong resemblance, but clearly it's not me. I'd much rather talk about chemtrails. All right, everybody, thank you for coming in. It's been wonderful. I bring you the black chemtrails reported worldwide. Okay, YouTube protects the criminals of Sandy Hook. Lies attacking me. Ooh, that looks good too. Excellent.
How I see it. Yesterday I made a video about this article here.
Okay, and we got a couple others on geoengineering as well. That looks really good. Okay, thanks everybody for coming in. We played one version of Can't Stop. I wasn't really in the Can't Stop mood tonight. But we are cool. I have never made investments. No, I don't have any investments, Doctor. No. I don't believe in investing your money in the stock market unless you're rich. And even if you are rich, you may want to rethink your goals in this tough economy. Yeah, I don't make investments. Okay, adios, amigos. We'll see you later. Take care. Oh, I'm still here. Excuse me. I thought I disappeared. No, I don't have any federal funding or social welfare. I don't get any money from anybody. I'm living on my savings, basically. I have a very small output, so I'm able to, live a long time on rice and beans. Easy, thank you so much for coming into my show. It is nice of you to be here. Take care.